Hello, we're having a call to order the City of Boynton Beach City Commission agenda Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor McCray. Dear Lord, thank you again for bringing us into a new year. We humbly accept the guidance that you give and everything that we have going forth in the city of Boynton Beach. We look forward to making 2017 the best year Boynton Beach has ever had, and we look forward to that creating a goodwill towards all of men, and that there should be no evil done in any of the city's doings tonight. And in the God's name we say, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Stephen Grant.
I am here.
Vice Mayor Mac McCray.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Katz.
Here.
Commissioner Christina Romulus.
Present.
And Commissioner Joe Casello.
Here.
All present.
All right. Moving on to agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or moving around of the agenda items? I'd like to propose that we move unfinished business, item 11A, before consent agenda. And move up 13D after, also before consent agenda. And last, and does the commission want to finalize the MU4 zoning district before we hear from Riverwalk? Is that okay?
Depending on the order of all this?
It's whatever way we like. So my idea is that we understand what we're, approving to the zoning before we actually approve it.
I recommend moving it up.
So I'd like to move that after, before item 9A. The second hearing for land development regulations on MU4.
13A.
13A. 13A, because on item 9B, we are rezoning, the request is for C3 to MU4. I'd like to have a finalization of what MU4 is before.
So you want 13A?
13A after 8. We have a motion as amended.
Motion to approve as amended.
Do I have all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, informational items. Commissioner Romulus, would you like to begin?
Sure. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. It was a very quiet and uneventful holiday for me, and I'm grateful for that because we're right back in the swing of things today. I do want to take some time to thank Bradley Miller. I'm not sure if he's here tonight, but I do want to thank him for his time during the holiday season. He took a little time with me and gave me land development for dummies version, and I appreciate him for doing that and taking that time. I also want to congratulate Josie's Restaurant for being nominated or being listed as 7th in all of Palm Beach County, top 20 restaurants in Palm Beach County. That is an honor that the Palm Beach Post bestowed upon them in the paper, so I just want to give them a round of applause for that. And I'm also honored because they are in my district, so I will claim that all day. Just Happy New Year to everyone, and looking forward to 2017 and a lot of things that we have to accomplish together. Thank you.
Commissioner Casello?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I attended the Coalition of Boynton West Residential Association meeting. I also attended the Sober Home Task Force meeting, and as you can see by what you read in the paper, that we're starting to really bear some fruit with that. So I hope that we continue the good work, and I think you're going to see even more and more improvements along with these sober homes. Also, I'd just like to announce that I am up for re-election, and my re-election campaign kickoff will be January 18th at Copper Point, and be running from 5:30 to 7:30. I invite you all to attend.
Commissioner Katz?
Wish everybody happy holidays and happy new year. I've been off from school for the past week and a half, so I've been trying to lay as low as possible to enjoy it. So I don't have anything really to disclose right now.
And Vice Mayor McCray?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year. But I'd like to also, in my comments tonight, is I need to request from this commission that we need to relook at the closing of Wilson Pool for December and January. The weather has changed, and I'm just saying, you know, I got a lot of phone calls in regards to why we can't swim. So we probably need to revisit that if the weather permits. I'm just saying it needs to be added for discussion, perhaps at our next commission meeting. I'm just saying, you know, kids are out of school. Thank you.
Okay. Is that it?
Mayor, I forgot to disclose that I did meet with Islam Royalty representatives of Riverwalk today.
Okay. On the 20th, I attended the opening day with Bill Hager, the representative down in Boca. I attended a lobbying session with our lobbyist Matt Forrest to learn a little bit more about Tallahassee. I attended the P&D board meeting, and I had a great New Year's Day. My grandfather celebrated his 90th birthday, had my family come into town.
Yay.
So, and then also on a sadder note, I attended the funeral service for Officer Crowder. It is a big loss for the city of Boynton Beach. And I think that's it for me. So moving on to...
Excuse me. I too attended the service for Officer Crowder, but perhaps when we have space, the police department would like to make mention about the memorial service that will be held January the 5th. They would like to let the public know about that. I'm just saying, January the 5th. Chief, I'm just saying, thank you.
It's at Christ Fellowship at the mall.
Got it.
On 12 p.m. at this Thursday the 5th. Did I get it?
It's
2 p.m. 2 p.m. I'm sorry, I added a 1. 2 p.m. at Christ Fellowship, located at Boynton Beach Mall.
Thank you, sir.
All right, seeing no more informational items, moving on to the announcement of Farm Share free food distribution. Commissioner Casella, would you like to make the announcement?
Thank you, Mayor. On January 28th, between the hours of 9 and 1, we will be giving a Farm Share food giveaway, and we're going to hold it right next to St. John's Missionary Baptist Church down here on Seacrest. And we're looking for volunteers to help us distribute that food, working in conjunction with State Rep. Laurie Berman. We've done this in the past, and it's been very successful, but it takes many hands to do what we need to do to get this food to the people who really need it. So we're looking for volunteers. I know the police department has volunteered. I know the fire department has volunteered. I know Michael Bird has called me and volunteered some of the Wildcat. And so all who would like to join us will be there from 9 to 1. We have a setup. We're going to start setting up around 7 a.m. in the morning. So if you're an early bird and like to come down and spend an hour or two, help us set up some tents and bag some of the food, would be much appreciated.
Also, Commissioner Casella, that will be in the vacant lots next to St. John.
That is correct, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Between Northeast 7th Avenue and Northeast 8th Avenue.
Right.
All right. Now I have a proclamation. Would Gregory Murphy please come down to accept it? Proclamation. Whereas the significant contributions made by the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. are recognized nationwide, and the third Monday of January has been established as a national holiday in commemoration of Dr. King's birthday, January 15th, 1929. And whereas Dr. King dedicated his life so that all Americans may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to every citizen under the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Birthday Celebration Committee of Boynton Beach, which combines numerous community organizations and municipalities, is playing a major role in the coordination of observances of this day by offering a variety of historical and cultural programs throughout the city. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Boynton Beach, Florida, hereby proclaim January 16, 2017 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Murphy. I am the co-chair along with Deputy Chief Latasha Clemens for this year's celebration committee. Just wanted to highlight our events for this year. We do have our brochures. They are seated on the table in the back, so as you exit or come in, please feel free to pick up one. This weekend, starting on Saturday, we will have our MLK Holiday Parade starting at 2 p.m. We will commence from the amphitheater here on Seacrest and go down to Martin Luther King. From there, starting at 3 p.m., we will have our Celebration of Unity Festival that will take place at Sarah Sims Park. We have bands, we have vendors and parade, bounce houses, slides for the children. It's going to be a great day to celebrate. We are asking for all to come out and support our very own city's parade. The following weekend, on the 15th, will be our Celebration Gala. It will be happening. It will be located at Benvenuto's Restaurant. Information about tickets and information are on the flyer. Feel free to grab one if you are interested in attending. On the 16th will be our Day of Service activity, where we will do a community service project for 4 different homes within the city of Boynton, and landscaping and painting homes of our senior citizens in the area. And then on Friday, January 20th, will be our Music on the Rocks celebration at the amphitheater. We look forward to seeing everyone out this year to celebrate this year's Dr. King Day. Thank you.
Mr. Murphy, go ahead. In regards to the event that's going to take place at Sarah Sims, I need to request that, if you all have not already done so, make sure that you all have security, and you have to get with the police department, because when we have events at Sarah Sims, when they are not advertised properly, we get an influx of individuals who's not presently, really take our city for what it's worth. At the Christmas event that was over there, they just gathered themselves. That was over 1,500 individuals at Sarah Sims Park, and the crowd was unruly, uncontrollable. The chief and his staff was really at wit's end. I'm just saying they didn't want to start a riot, so I'm just saying, make sure that you get with the chief and make sure that we have security available. I'm just saying when this event starts, sir.
Thank you. We do have representation from the police department and fire department who sits on the team, and that has been taken care of. Fencing and lighting and all of that is already in budget and in place for the event.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I also like to mention the CRA is having a movie this Friday at 6:30 at the Ocean Avenue Amphitheater. Next, we have a presentation to the Commission from GBDC Entrepreneurship Institute, introducing the new youth division called Just Think Yes by Annette Gray.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and commissioners, vice mayor, mayor. Thanks for having us today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Annette Gray. I'm a former team member here in Boynton as part of the former CRA staff. I'm a local business owner. But more importantly today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what our nonprofit organization has been doing in the community. And specifically our youth division, which we have now formalized. It is called Just Think Yes. Hire the Future Today. The structure of that organization is designed to change our mission a bit from entrepreneurship education to enterprise creation, specifically youth. We're having young people start their own businesses and incubated by the GBDC Entrepreneurship Incubator right here on Congress Avenue in Boynton Beach. So Just Think Yes LLC Young Entrepreneurs Solutions Group is is a subsidiary of GBDC Entrepreneurship Institute. Tonight, I would like to introduce you to the first of that formal youth enterprise. So under Just Think Yes, each new group that starts will have their own DBA, a company that they start, manage, and run, create their own jobs, and make their own money, subsequently helping the city's economic development department and goals and missions. I introduce you to our first youth enterprise.
Introducing the first Just Think Yes division of Just Think Yes. Play Zone planners and sitters, extra hands at your home, an event, or party. Located at 3200 South Congress Avenue, Suite 104 in Boynton Beach, Florida, 33426.
Hi, I am LaKyla Richards. I am a senior at Atlantic High School, where I am on the dance team in the National Honor Society. I volunteer at different places like the Achievement Center, Bang & Cree, and in family home child care. I currently work at Chick-fil-A in Boynton Beach. I'm going to college for business management and early childhood education to one day own my own daycare center. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Amber Trice. I am a senior at Atlantic Community High School. My short-term goal is to go to college. My long-term goal is to have a career in the children industry. Right now, I currently work at Marshall's. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Ari Hill. I am a senior at Atlantic High School. I will be your future accountant at FAMU University. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Nazi Gaynor. I'm a junior at Boynton Beach High. I'm a part of a nonprofit organization called Education Rocks, and I'm also co-president of Fashion Club at my school. After high school, I want to study business management and social working.
Hello, I'm Jada Boone. I am a junior at Boynton Beach Community High School. I am the captain of the soccer team. I'm a young entrepreneur who makes crafts out of duct tape. After high school, I want to go to college to double major in photography and journalism to be a producer.
Business description. Play Zone Planners and Sitters, LLC, is a youth enterprise located at 3200 South Congress Avenue, Suite 104, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33426. The business is run and managed by female juniors and seniors high school and is incubated by GBDC Entrepreneurship Institute. The business is designed to provide assistance to families, individuals, and event managers with 3 service types: Play Zone management on event site, event assistance for children's parties, and babysitting.
The Play Zone management is a service that the company provides to supervise your children at any event. The company provides activities for 3 different age groups, which are ages 3 to 6, 7 to 10, and 11 to 13.
The event planning assistance is a service that the company provides to assist customers with children's parties, selecting a theme, decorations, activities before, during, and after the event.
The company also provides babysitting services. The company specializes in taking care of children 3 to 11 for busy families and professionals. Thank you.
We're going to hold to the applause to the end.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to hire the future today. We are here to provide extra hands at your home, event, or party. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Now we can give the round of applause. I'd just like to say that it's wonderful that what you're doing. I was an entrepreneur myself. I opened up my own law practice. I just want to know, do you have a website?
We're currently working on our website, but it will be up for you to join.
Okay.
I'd like to make comments for the young lady from Boynton High School with Education Rocks. I just want to tell you thank you. My nephew, Amari Prince, is a part of that. You know, anytime I hear Boynton High School, I get excited. Thank you.
Ms. Gray, I'd just like to say I'm proud to serve on your board of directors for your institute and to actually witness what you do with some of these young leaders, future leaders here in Boynton Beach, and you should be commended for that, for your energies.
Thank you so much. I have so many great supporters in Boynton Beach, not only from the commission level, Mayor Grant, Commissioner Casello, Lori, and your team. I couldn't be more supported here, and I couldn't think of another place to help to create these future leaders of the future. You've just heard an excerpt from the executive summary of the business plan of this group, and we will be inviting you all to our Shark Tank and investment presentation in a few weeks. Thank you so much.
Let me just say it is so heartwarming to hear young women talk about short-term and long-term goals and business plans, and just gives me chills. I love it. I love it. I really do. And I'm so proud of all of you, and keep up the good work. And, you know, your generation mostly is thinking about what's their next Snapchat gonna, I can't even say it, their next Snapchat gonna be. But you guys are thinking about long-term and short-term goals, and that's amazing. So kudos to you, and kudos to you, Annette, as well, for doing this and leading these young women. Thank you.
I'd just like to put a plug in for Mrs. Gray. She did the 3K walk and run. She came in way, 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 way ahead of me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're moving on now to public audience. Speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations, and these are for items that are not on the agenda.
Hi, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. First up, I'm here to give a mention from the Arts Commission. On behalf of the Arts Commission, I'd like to invite the mayor, commissioners, and public to the Art in Public Places reception for the Women in the Visual Arts exhibit. It will be on Wednesday, January 11th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. in the City Library. The exhibit is installed from January 5th through May 2nd, and it consists of 37 artworks by 20 artists. The exhibit will be judged by Jeff Jacobs, a renowned and award-winning artist, and awards will be presented during the reception. Refreshments and light bites will be served. For more information, visit BoyntonBeachArts.org, and don't forget to follow and like Boynton Beach Art in Public Places on Facebook, and follow Boynton Arts on Twitter. And then for myself, I'd like to say Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Romulus, for judging the Seacrest Estates Holiday Decorating Contest. Our winner was 2881 Southeast First Place. I know the gentleman's name is Dan. I don't know his wife's name. They did a great job, and thank you once again for taking this task on, because I know there was a lot of houses to judge because the neighborhood's gone crazy and really lit itself up this year. This is... some light holiday reading, Commissioner Katz, because you were getting bored, weren't you? You haven't had anything from me in a while. This is a reading on urban greenery projects, something I think we should be encouraging to help counteract the huge environmental impact of the new structures in our city. Maybe we should look at making something like this mandatory on all the over 45-foot buildings. It's time for Boynton to think about reducing its carbon footprint, and this is a great way to go. This is working very effectively in several other cities. You know, the whole rooftop gardening thing, that's what this is about. This is in Vogue magazine like a month or two ago, but it's kind of, you know, written at a better, more exciting level than you normally see. So something to read and consider for the future. Thank you.
Susan, I've been speaking with the staff regarding business exemptions for farms,
yes,
so people can grow crops on their land and sell it without having to get a BTR, pay for a BTR license. So that is in the work right now.
Good. That means my backyard garden is legal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Floyd Zonenstein, 2620 Northeast First Court, Boynton Beach, VRG. I'd like to first wish the DS a happy and healthy New Year's. On behalf of the residents of VRG, I would like to make a presentation of 2 checks, each $1,000, one going to the police department, one going to the fire department. This is our annual gift, and we appreciate everything they've done for VRG throughout the years. Thank you.
Floyd, stay there. Just stay there. If we can get the chief of the police department and the fire department to come down as you all accept these checks, I will be with Floyd to help pass them out to you all. VRG is in District 2. Thank you. Hello, there, picture. Village Royale on the green.
Everybody smile and look this way and I'll leave that one to you.
Good evening, board. My name is Ashaki Dennis. I'm a resident here in the city of Boynton Beach. I live with my mother, Colleen Taylor. I arrived to your planning and zoning department on November 21st. When I went there, I inquired how to get documentation and application for the planning and zoning to be able to open up a adult family care home. They gave me an application and told me that one-sheet application and told me that I had to pay the $30 application fee. I went back there to drop it off on November 28th. I gave them the one document that was given to me and the $30. They took it and they said that they'll follow up with me. During that week, on that Friday, on December 2nd, I received a phone call saying that the application was approved. Since we live in Boynton Beach, it shouldn't take more than 2 days to be able to get a letter in the mail. That was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no document. So I went up to the city of Boynton Beach, the Planning and Zoning Division, and they informed me that I guess on December 6th, the board agreed that there will be no more applications. I guess a freeze on approving these homes. I'm asking that my application be grandfathered in. I was given this application for business certification of use when I went there on December 8th, and I never seen this form before. And they're telling me if this form was turned in, that I'll be grandfathered in. And so I was very upset because I've already paid my money for my classes to be able to be approved, and all is missing is this form. So I'm asking that the board please inform or try to get in contact with Mr. Michael Rumpf and let him know that if we can be grandfathered in and I can turn this form in, that I'd be able to open up this home so that I can be able to make an extra income and start my own business with my mother in our home here in Boynton Beach for the elderly population.
So are you saying a daycare?
It's an adult care home.
So are they plan on sleeping there?
Yes.
Yeah, that is what the moratorium does not allow. So, Jim, do you mind taking the comment?
What I'll do is I'll review the matter with staff in the morning and see where the application falls in terms of being processed or not processed and get back to the speaker.
Okay.
Okay. Again, my name is Ashaki Dennis. Thank you.
Did you give your street address?
My street address
Yes.
is 121 East Gateway Boulevard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Shirley Casa from 217 Southwest 14th Street. And my topic to talk to you again after 2 years is the Holiday Inn Express Hotel. I've passed out some photos to you on how the view from the condominium directly east of the hotel looked. It was decided to take down that hedge, and the hotel was to put in some beautiful landscaping of 3-foot hedge with graded land, mulch, irrigation, and if you could see by the photos, we have dead plants, no grading of the land. I think there is irrigation. I'm not sure if it's working. The plants are still dead. And the last photo shows you the foundation on the north end by the bowling alley, where there is no grading, a dead plant, and the chain link fence to the bowling alley. My request tonight is for the commissioners and staff to not give any temporary CO nor a CO until the hotel has fulfilled its obligations and giving us a more pleasant view from Palm Beach Leisureville.
Just, Shirley, I got a couple of questions on this.
Go ahead.
Because this has been going on 2
years.
Yeah, Holiday Express. There's nothing been expressed about this whole project here. The Marriott started after these people got it up and running. They've been up and running for 8 months. I think they're not done with this project for whatever reasons. But it was my understanding, if I'm looking at that wall right, wasn't there supposed to be trees and a hedge along that wall also?
There was supposed to be, I think it's a wax myrtle plant of 319 plants on the east side, and there's supposed to be trees on the west side that would give some umbrella look to the condominiums. And there may have been plants that have to be on the east side of trees, but I'm not sure about that. You're supposed to have 3 inches of mulch. It's just not following the rules, and he's not a good neighbor.
Had issues with him before. To the city manager, how close is this to being? Where does it stand in the process? I mean, it's been going on forever. Is there a time frame that he has to get these things done?
Andrew Mack, Director of Development. They're still under construction. They haven't requested any final inspections, so they're still under the process of construction. And it's a rolling timeline that once they get an approved inspection, they keep continuing the construction. So right now, I don't have a projected completion date, but I can reach out to them. I actually visited the site this afternoon with Shirley and walked the site. There's already some stuff. We're going to meet with the contractor and have them clean up on that side, visible to the residents. And obviously they have to follow the plans at this point. What they've installed is not compliant, and they'll have to remedy it before the CO or TCO is issued.
We've red tagged them in the future, in the past.
Correct.
I think that we've got to set some kind of guidelines or dates that mandatory dates that this project gets done. This was a contentious vote that we took to even have the hotel there, and I think these people in Leisureville deserve a little better service than what they're getting from this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Happy New Year. Shirley has already introduced you.
Your name and address.
My name is Carmel Ann Powell. I live at 1119 Lake Terrace. You're looking at pictures of my backyard. Okay? All I'm asking, and Mr. Casello, I looked directly at you at the closing hearings here, and you told me, this is your new neighbor. Okay, and he mumbled something which I won't repeat under his breath. I was sitting close enough to hear it. You've got to help us. For the Christmas holidays, that's what my backyard looked like, to have relatives over. Dirt and garbage all over the place. I'm constantly picking up trash that the workers just dump because there's no rules. The bush that was taken down, if you can look at that first page, that was the view from my window. I also had more privacy. Now I'm looking into putting in a tree closer to my house because now, without that hedge, anybody can look directly into my bedroom window if they're outside or if they're in the parking lot. because there's nothing blocking their view anymore. So before, where I used to be able to open my windows and get air, I can't do that anymore because I get greeted with either workman or a truck driver who's now up high enough to see right over that fence into my windows. I'd appreciate it if you could set some kind of guidelines for this man. What they took down was a 30-year-old beautiful piece of hedge. What we have now are dead plants. Not a pretty sight. My property value went down when the hotel went up. My property value is going down again now that he's being allowed to put this mess back there in replacement of the bush that we had for 30 years. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sure our staff will be on that and adhere to the rules.
Good evening, Happy New Year. I'm Christine DeHassett, the Executive Director of the Florida Coalition for Preservation. Our offices are at 4600 North Ocean Boulevard in Boynton Beach. We represent 6,000 Barrier Island intercoastal communities, including Boynton residents. I speak tonight out of grave concern over a substantial change to Ordinance 16-023 that was announced by staff at the Planning and Development Board meeting on December 27th as it relates to the new MU4 zoning district. The ordinance is on the agenda. Item 13 was just moved for prior review before 9A. A good decision. The ordinance was approved on first reading on December 19th.
Mayor, excuse me. This is an agenda item. You could speak at the time that the agenda item comes up.
Okay.
The rule for public audience is only items that are not on the agenda.
I was just confused with the moving of it, though.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You get to start all over again.
Yay. Thank you.
Herb Shaw, 1711 Woodford, Boynton Beach. Report cards for this commission will be available probably first week of February or the end of January. There'll be surprises. Keep up the good work. I want to wish everybody up there and in this community here very healthy, happy New Year. You're healthy, you're happy. If you're happy, you're healthy. I got a complaint. What's going on with the reservoir? You know, I mean, with the water ducts, the roads. I live on Wilbright in Southwest 26th Street. When the heck is it going to be cleaned up, running from 95 all the way down? I mean, it's the people are complaining, the traffic. It's absolutely a disgrace to take this long. And I have to say, it's got to be done and done soon. It's the whole community is up in arms. And to look at that dirt and the sand, when the wind blows, the sand comes in. My car gets full of sand also. We got to do something. And I hope that somebody up there does something about it. It's ridiculous. Months and months. It's way overdue. Way overdue. The next thing I want to know is that we have, hope the press back there picks up that they have an obligation to print what the people say here too. Not only what the commission passes, but they should pick up on people's comments and get that into the paper. I challenge the news media back there to do that. The next thing I have to say is when a bird tweets, we have a president-elect that I've now called a bird. We tweet. And basically, that's what it is. Also, if everybody knows, in the nighttime, this new Republican Congress, the House, tried to get rid of the ethics bill, or the ethics, what they do. But the people complained, and they started to do something. And if this is what this new administration coming in, or the Congress is going to do, we had better all watch and keep an eye on this thing, because what they tried to do behind closed doors in the night is disgusting. It really is. And all I got to end this thing with is tweet.
Mr. Suss, before you finish your tweet, Mr. Colin Graff will get with you. I brought that to the commission before. I also brought it up with our city manager about Gateway, also the concerns from the citizens about how disgusted you all are. I am disgusted as well. I was just waiting for a major accident to take place. I'm just saying, so Mr. Graff will get with you on the timeline, sir.
There's going to be an accident. I'm telling you right now, with that construct. And if you go down south on 95, okay, toward Delray, there are big hoses, the big things that they're right on the side of the road. near the scrub. That's disgusting. All those pipes that they use. You go south on 95.
Thank
That's
you.
where it's at too.
Thank you. Yep. Good with Mr. Colin Graff. Thank you.
Hi, Alexandra Wilson, 1202 Northwest Boynton Beach. I'm a recent graduate of this city. My major was construction engineering. I'm currently a project engineer for the city for Miami, and I have many concerns about what's going on in District 2 and the redevelopment of District 2. I want to. I know last at the CRA meeting, Commissioner McCray, you told us as residents, if we have questions, we can be get in contact with the Heart of Boynton initiative. I want to know how can I become a part of that committee. I don't want to just go there and ask questions. I want to make change. I stated my background because I wanted you to know that I'm serious about changing District 2 in the Heart of Boynton. So who can I contact to be a part of the Heart of Boynton initiative?
We will get with you on that. I'm just saying, Mr. Akins was the person to see about the Heart of Boynton. I'm just saying, I'm glad somebody else is coming along, with some concerns. I've been having a concern, for like 24 years.
Okay.
I'm still
concerned. I'm here. I'm young, and I have fight in me. So if you're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with you.
We'll get with the city manager. We have your address.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good, right. Happy New Year to y'all. Happy New Year to everybody. Irwin, Palm Beach County. That's my whole playground. First of all, I wanted to say congratulations. I'm really excited about the referendum that just recently passed. That starts today or tomorrow, right? Or how does that start?
Which tax? The sales tax?
The sales tax.
January
Penny sales
1st.
tax, yes.
Yes, it started.
All right, awesome. So I'm really excited about that because with the Heart of Boynton, there's a lot of things that we're looking for because it's for infrastructure, right? Correct. Okay, and it's projected like 2.7 billion to be over the next 10 years, right?
For the whole county.
For the whole county.
So that includes 50% to the school district,
Half to the
30% to the county, 20% to the cities.
Okay.
We're expecting to get $4 million a year as the third largest city in Palm Beach County.
That's awesome, and that's coming with the from the sales tax, from the spending of the good people of Boynton Beach, right?
And the whole county.
And the whole county. So I'm excited about that. So with the Heart of Boynton, there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to seeing getting touched up, like Sims Park, things like that. I did pull a public records report of, I guess, the budget for this year, and the things that are aligned here, is that what is going to be done this year?
Lori?
I don't. What document are you looking at? Our capital improvement plan?
It is the.
Probably what
Because that's if that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's the referendum. Yeah, the referendum plan as far as what's actually budgeted for Boynton Beach. So if that's what that is, then yeah.
It's our capital improvement plan.
Okay, awesome. And so what I see here as far as what's being allocated for the projects for this year, that's going to be done this year?
Not really, because sometimes, that as commissioners, we have the right to say, it has to be put out because we have something else coming online prior to that. I'm just saying, so we really have to look at it, but that would be our judgment, our final call.
Okay. So the public record of this, so it may or may not be done?
It's on there to be done, sir, but if I'm just saying if things are not falling in place, it is up to our discretion to say, we will push it further. I'm just saying, like what you said, Sims Park. Okay, with Sims Park, I'm just saying, I'm one of those advocates that said we would not do anything at Sims Park right now, as long as we got dirt bikes out there, four-wheelers out there, and people that's abusing what we already have out there. I'm just saying, if you all got any kind of ideas of saying what we could do to stop them from tearing up before we put in, we're open for suggestions.
Okay. Were y'all open to the suggestions before deciding what is being done as far as the money being allocated?
So what I'd like to explain that the budget meeting this July for the next year. So this year's already been planned. So
Awesome. So back to it, and I don't want to, you guys ate up a little bit of my time, but what I would like to say is I'm excited about being part of what's going to happen with Boynton Beach, the Heart of Boynton. Like you said, it's at your discretion on guess on what can or may not be done. So, me and a lot of community members would like to be a part of how those decisions are made. So we're excited about that. Appreciate it. Happy New Year to everybody. cool.
You know,
Appreciate it.
before you sit down, you gave us your Palm Beach County was your playground, but we
Yeah.
need an address, please.
Palm Beach County, Boynton Beach. Appreciate y'all.
You have an address, a street?
No, he does not.
Hi, Steve Antone, 234 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I haven't seen y'all all year, but I'm back. I have a question, and it's the Boynton Beach mission statement to create a sustainable community by providing exceptional municipal services in a financially responsible manner. Does anybody in the crowd
I'm sorry,
find
you
that
can't
as
talk to the crowd.
is that an okay? Let me ask you, because
Yes.
this is even better. Is that not an oxymoron? You cannot do what you're saying and still be financially responsible. And I'm going to quote from a Palm Beach Post article. And this has been kicked down. That you guys have got great shoes because you keep kicking problems down the road. We have really severely underfunded police and fire departments and their retirement funds. These guys up here risking their lives, hoping that they make it to retirement. They're running into burning buildings. They're getting shot at. And yet this is underfunded. You are not going to outdevelop this. You are not going to build new buildings. You are not going to do that because for every dollar they bring in, it costs $1.25 with these new developments. No city has ever outdeveloped these costs. The more you develop, the more these costs rise that are still underfunded. So you're playing catch up. You can't even get ahead. Do you understand that this is an oxymoron? I'd like the mission statement to say, we're going to do the best we can, but it probably won't work. Because you keep improving, hey, we're going to develop. It doesn't work. It didn't work in Fort Lauderdale. One of my best friends just got his tax assessment this year. He cannot afford. He can't afford the $1,800 extra they added this year. He didn't put in his budget. We're in the same boat. And it's your fault because you're going to kick it down the road. It's not these firemen. It's not the policemen. Because you're building developments, you need new what? Fire trucks, $550,000 to $750,000, depending if it's a pumper, engine, or ladder truck. You need $32,000, not including the equipment for a police car. The average policeman is outfitted with almost $2,000 worth of equipment. You make the developers pay that. Then you can talking about development. Other than that, we in here are getting socked with it. And you up there. But we are tired of it. I'm tired of it. We had an $80 assessment a year for 4 years for a new fire station. It was never supposed to be permanent. No. 4 years later, it was up for renewal. Yes, we'll make it permanent, and we're going to increase it to $100.
Thank you for your comments. See no more additional public audience. Moving on to administrative. Commissioner Romulus, I'm sorry. Would you like to make an appointment?
Education and Youth Advisory Board.
Yes. Or would you want to table it? Kathleen Wilkinson.
I'd like to approve appoint Kathleen Wilkinson for the Education and Youth Advisory Board.
Second.
They can't hear you.
They didn't hear you.
I'd like to appoint Kathleen Wilkinson to the Education and Youth Board as a student member.
It's been seconded, yes.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
We moved up item 11A. The proposed resolution number R17-004 authorized the city manager to sign an agreement with Community Caring Center of Greater Boynton Beach, Inc. for leasing of space at the library to operating a cafe.
When is it?
Tim?
Tim Howard, Assistant City Manager. At the last commission meeting, the commission directed me to bring back a contract for the commission to consider leasing the space over in the library that was the Sailfish Cafe to Community Caring Center. What's in front of you is the draft lease agreement, which is a one-year agreement. with a $150 a month rent to cover the proportional cost of the electric and water. Start of the lease agreement would be February 1st. It is renewable. We'll look at it in a year to see how things are going. I touched bases with Sherry Johnson last week. There's a couple things we need to work out. The operation hours right now are proposed to be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that's okay right now. But we're going to work on that. We may change that eventually, but that'll be once it gets open and how things are going. We're in the process now of cleaning it up, maintaining, bringing maintenance in on the coolers, touching up paint, things like that. She needs to do a couple things with the health department prior to opening. So what's in front of you is the lease.
I'm looking forward to this. I know that it's been almost 18 months since we've had food being served at the library. I remember when I moved down here, that was a great place to get a snack while studying.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Can I ask one thing before you proceed? I'm sorry. We had previously, about a year and a half ago, went out with an RFQ.
Talk a little louder.
About a year and a half ago, we went out with an RFQ, and we didn't get to a lease document or an agreement with it. So if I could ask the commission to cancel that RFQ officially first. And it's in the agenda item. It's RFQ number 0342610-15.
May I have a motion to approve the cancellation of that?
Motion, so move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimous.
Now the resolution for the agreement, if you would, please.
Okay, and that's been first
Motion approved.
and seconded?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, Jim.
This is ordinance 16023, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending the land development regulations, amending chapters 1, 3, and 4 to begin.
No.
D, not A.
13D.
13.
D, we moved up.
Oh.
17-003.
003.
Conversion therapy.
Zero 03, a resolution of the City of Boynton Beach approving,
Prohibiting conversion therapy.
getting off to a slow start this year.
That's okay.
Yeah, I got 003 in the agenda. Oh, it doesn't have it on the drive.
Okay. Ordinance 17003, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 15, offenses miscellaneous of the Code of Ordinances by creating a new Article 13 to prohibit the practice of a conversion therapy on minors, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion, public comments? I read the ordinance, and it only applies to licensed doctors, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm a little wary about the city getting involved into parenting and what licensed doctors can do. However, I'm for not messing up minors. So, please go on.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Dr. Rachel Needle. I'm a licensed psychologist and a certified sex therapist, and I train people around this world in this specialization. As a sexuality expert, I hope that I can lend some support to you in understanding the dangers of so-called conversion therapy. Opponents of the ban are going to suggest that the ban limits minors from seeking mental health services if they're struggling with their identity or orientation and experiencing depression as a result. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. Minors can still see a mental health therapist. Those therapists just can't suggest that they can convert them or change their sexual attractions or orientation. There's never been any proof that that is possible, and claiming to do so in itself causes psychological harm. The practice of conversion therapy is based on two false premises. First, it's based on the falsehood that being gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender is a mental disorder or defect that needs to be cured. Secondly, it's based on the presumption that being LGBTQ is something that can actually be changed through therapy. Sexual orientation and gender identity are not mental disorders or diseases, and therefore any technique claiming to cure or suppress or change that is inherently invalid. Efforts to cure an LGBTQ person are based on theories with questionable scientific validity. Numerous organizations, and I have abstracts from 12 articles as well, which have shown that conversion therapy is at best ineffective and at worst extremely harmful on minors. Any ethical mental health practitioner should not attempt to cure or repair gender or sexual orientation through these scientifically invalid techniques. Research has actually found that efforts in so-called therapies aimed at changing one's gender identity or sexual orientation can lead to a number of mental health issues in a minor, including shame, guilt, depression, decreased self-esteem, increased self-hatred, feelings of anger and betrayal, loss of friends, social withdrawal, problems in sexual and emotional intimacy, hostility and blame towards others, high-risk behaviors, confusion, and even suicidal ideation. Attempting to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity can thus have a devastating impact on a minor. These change efforts are guided by people's bias and judgments, and these biases can negatively affect the mental health of those who identify as LGBTQ. A number of associations have issued statements against the practice of conversion or reparative therapy, including but not limited to the American Psychiatric Association, American Psychological Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and I could go on, and I actually have these statements in a list that I could submit to you if you gave me permission. Many LGBTQ youth in our society still grow up believing that there's something wrong with them. Passage of this ordinance will send an important message to LGBTQ youth in our city. There's nothing wrong with you or your sexual orientation or gender identity. I strongly believe that the Commission should enact this ordinance to protect children and adolescents from a practice that's far outside the bounds of any ethical psychological treatment plan. This ordinance is narrowly tailored to prevent a well-documented risk of harm to minors and to address a serious threat to the well-being of LGBTQ youth. So-called conversion therapy is proven to not only be effective, but again, can be extremely damaging. It runs contrary to current understandings of the nature of human sexuality and based on outdated and discredited views of sexual orientation and gender identity. I urge you to support this ordinance to protect the health of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth in our city from the dangers of conversion therapy. Thank you very much.
Before we go, I had a question that this is only for licensed professionals. I saw the ordinance. It does not apply to religious leaders or unlicensed professionals.
Right.
Okay.
You sent us emails, right? Did we get emails from you?
I did not send any emails,
No, we got
no.
them from someone else.
All right. But if the person that was somebody else?
Yeah.
Hello, that would be me. I got it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And, okay. Because I spoke to my grandfather, and he said, yeah, at one time, they used to make sure that everybody wrote with their right hand, even if they were left-handed. So they don't do that anymore, and so I'm glad that we're moving on to not doing this anymore.
Me as well. Thank you very much.
All right.
More questions?
Commissioner Katz?
Yeah, just a...
Yes,
Yeah,
you may.
can speak first.
Oh, I don't know if you had questions.
Nope, we're good.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm very anxious. I came prepared to make a big speech. I'm not going to make one.
We just need your
but
name
I just
and
want to
address.
see, pardon me?
Your name and address?
Oh, Arlene Torgan, 5157 Floria Way, in Platina, Apartment X, as an excellent and excited about doing this. We brought up a gay son. Of course, we didn't know them because he, as every other child at that age, was afraid to tell mommy and daddy that they thought there was something wrong with them. And this went on for many years, and I kept asking my husband, why is Scott so, what did I ever do to this child to make him so angry? Well, we found out when he was 34, when he met his partner, who is now his husband. And he was so afraid to tell us that he knew he was different than everybody. He thought mother and father are going to throw him out. Well, we are parents, and I said to Scott, I can't believe you thought that we would throw you out. We adore you. My Jewish grandparents in heaven would do a lot to me because we have to take care of our children. We have to love and respect them. And I just want to repeat, he grew up, he's a normal, happy, healthily married man. We have a granddaughter who at 20 has just told us she's a lesbian. And we know, I know, so I belong to P.flag, and I wear the pin so that people know, people who recognize P.flag know that I am receptive, I am loving, and I care about them. And I have met so many younger and older people who at the age of 60 and 65 never told their parents because they were afraid. And if you would do my old Jewish grandmother, my Polish Jewish grandmother, a mitzvah, and just pass this, refuse it, and please, with a kind heart, understand that they are normal, happy, healthy, living human beings. They are no different than anybody else. And I was just thinking of something. When I went to elementary school many years ago, there was something we had to, a salute or something we had to say, and it was learn to respect the rights of others. And I wish we all could do the same thing. And thank you for listening to me. And if I didn't make sense,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
You know, Mayor,
Yes.
you brought up a situation just before, a good thing that you said about in the old days at public school, that when you were a lefty, they switch you to righty. I was one of those. I was a lefty until this day. Till this day, I reach with my left hand, and it does cause confusion, and it has done certain other things that. So I just hope, in that respect, that what the lady said, what other people say, it has a profound effect on people. Okay? Thank you very much.
All right. Commissioner Katz.
Yeah, I wanted to weigh in on this. I've got experience through working in the public schools, interacting with lots of people who are, various sexual orientations, whether it's straight or LGBT or anything else. And it just, as a teacher in the classroom, I have no ability to help these students deal with the pressure or societal kind of forces that try to tell them that they're wrong or something's wrong about them. But in my dual capacity as a city commissioner, I'm glad that I'm presented the opportunity to weigh in and make positive change that will not just affect the students that I have that are LGBT, but anyone who's a minor in LGBT in the city of Boynton Beach. There's a lot of reasons to support this. First and foremost, if you support LGBT rights and protecting individuals from discrimination or hazardous practices such as this, that's obviously the first reason. If that's not necessarily your personal views, you can support it because this is fraud. This is kind of ridiculous non-science. We're not restricting, as the mayor pointed out, parents from talking to their children about their sexuality and kind of imposing their views. We're not restricting religious leaders. This is for licensed medical practitioners. And just like any other profession in the country, governments have the right to regulate practices of licensed practitioners of whether it's teaching or law or medicine. So it serves a purpose across the board to protect these individuals. If that's not enough evidence to convince you this is a positive thing, just a simple practice, because I'm a teacher, an exercise, if you will. If you are gay or straight, and I presume just statistically most people in the room are straight, how many therapeutic sessions do you imagine would take to convert you to become a homosexual? You might not come up with an answer. It might be a ridiculously high number, but the point is that it's absurd. It's just an absurd idea that in 2016, going on 2017 now, that people could believe that you could change someone's sexuality through chastising them and berating them and making them hate themselves basically and think that their existence is wrong, which it isn't. Obviously, I hope most people agree. So I'm happy that this ordinance has been kind of trickling its way down Palm Beach County, and that we're able to be presented the opportunity by Rand and many other individuals to solidify that we are protecting children regardless of their sexual orientation. So I'm enthusiastically supporting this tonight.
May I have, seeing no more further discussion, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor McCray,
Aye.
Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Romulus,
Aye.
Commissioner Casello,
Yes.
and Mayor Grant.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
All right. Now we're moving on to consent agenda. Yep. Yep. Is there anything that anyone would like to be pulled?
F.
Item F. Anything else? All right. Commissioner Romulus, would you like to begin?
I just want to pull this item to commend our fantastic grants coordinator, Debbie Majors. She's already kind of giving me that look like, please don't. But yes, you deserve it. You do an outstanding job. And I really just want to pull out one of the grants that we were able to get in the city, which was the USA Swimming Foundation grant that allowed for 89 children's lives to be saved because they learned how to swim this year. So fantastic job to you, Debbie, for what you do, and just want to commend you and keep up the good work, and hoping to see more of this in the future. Thank you.
Can I get a motion
to accept?
Accept the whole consent agenda? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to item 7A, bids and purchases over $100,000. Approved task order number U1A09 with Globotech Inc. for engineering services. Lori or Colin, would you like to explain?
Colin Groff, Assistant City Manager. Sorry, get this adjusted. This is a task order to Global Tech to help to offer the engineering services for the city to design and replace the membrane filters at the West Water Plant. They're a required part of the plant. They're reached the end of their life, and we need to replace them. So this is the engineering to do that work, and it is a budgeted project.
Let me ask a question. This was approved and for July 1st, 2014, so we're just getting it done now.
Right, we're just getting it done now. It's taken us a while to get some of these projects off the plate and moving forward as we're hiring people. Our biggest problem has been staffing and trying to staff up to get these projects done. We finally have a full staff of engineers to move these projects forward.
That's nice to know. Just like Mr. Suss came up and said, about the roads. I'm just saying, 2014, this is January 2017. I'm glad we're moving forward. If anything else we need to move forward on, we need to kind of speed it up, I'm just saying.
Vice Mayor, can I just add one other thing to that
You can
point?
add anything you want to, I'm listening.
Okay. Tim Howard, Assistant City Manager. The 2014 was when you approved the rotating series for the engineering firms under the 5 different scopes or 4 different scopes that allowed us for the next 3 years to utilize those firms instead of doing individual RFQs. So when it references the 2014, it references when the commission approved those contracts with those vendors.
The rotating, not the
Right.
approval.
Right.
So Mr.
And then
Graff gave me something wrong.
Then this task order comes up based on that approval on those
good.
hourly rates.
Thank you. I'm straight now.
Just to make a point real quick, because I know that utilities, maintenance, and construction and stuff obviously is a thorn in everybody's side. Asking people to be patient with the government, that's probably not the best way to win you over right now. But they absolutely are working at their fastest pace. With regards to the Woolbright construction, once they opened up the road at a certain area, they found stuff that was underneath the pavement that had never been documented, and that threw a wrench in the work. So they're working as fast as they can. I can assure you of that with regards to anything in utilities. Our utilities department and manager, they are to be touted because we have one of the most efficient utilities, programs in Palm Beach County. So I know that, it's a thorn in everybody's side whenever they dig up a road and it causes problems. But, they are doing a great job, and I hope that people see that kind of at the end of the day once the road's been cleaned up and all that.
Also, let me go ahead and throw this in, since you said that was also 30 days that they did nothing, okay? For the record, thank you.
Colin, on that Woolbright, they're being fined, aren't they?
Yeah, I can address that, yeah. And the contractor is right now about 78 days behind their completion date, outside their contract. We do have a contract with them. The contract does limit us a little bit of what we can do. They gave us a new schedule. They claim they're going to start paving next week. We don't think they're going to do that. We are going to get with Jim this week to start searching out some legal things we can do against the contractor. Again, it is frustrating. I tell everybody in construction, when it goes well, it goes well. When it goes bad, it goes really bad. And we're kind of limited because of the way we bid these projects and because of the way we have to write our contracts in the state of Florida. We're somewhat limited what we can do to force the contractor to work. If they say, hey, we're not going to work for 30 days, it's very difficult to enforce saying, hey, you have to work. We've had multiple meetings with them. We're stressing the dissatisfaction. Trust me, I live right in front of that mess, and I see it every day. It's all over my car. I have to drive through it. It's unsafe, and it is a mess. We're doing the best we can. They have a schedule to start paving next week. We're meeting with them tomorrow, I think. It's either tomorrow or Thursday, to enforce that again and say, you have to get this done. If you don't, we're going to, we have some legal things I think we can do in the contract to force them. The worst thing we can do is have to kick them off the project, because then we have to bid the work, and it's going to be 90 days before we can get it started again. So we want to get them to finish, and we're working very hard to try to get them. And I know people are frustrated, and I'll take the blame, but we're doing everything we can to force this contractor to finish this project. We just got a bad contractor, and it happens.
Getting back to that membrane, what is the lifespan of one of those membranes?
Those membranes are about 8 to 10 years. We have to replace them, and there's a cycle. This particular time replacing them, we're actually looking at that plant. One of the things we do at that plant, we use some very strong chemicals that they're not dangerous to the water and to the drinking water. They're helpful to treat the water, but they're dangerous on site to the employees. So we're actually looking at changing the process to get rid of some of those chemicals and actually create a better quality of water while we're replacing these membranes. So it's a whole process, looking at the whole process, and that's what this engineering company will do, along with writing the specifications to buy these membranes to replace them. And they are replaced about every 8 to 10 years in cycles.
And just for the record, I don't think utilities is a thorn in the side.
What?
I don't think utilities is a thorn in the side.
The construction.
The construction is. It's very frustrating to me. I live it every day, and it's
thank you.
Very frustrating.
All right. So may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And I skipped item 5B. Commissioner Romulus has requested to attend My Brother's Keeper Race to Equity Summit at the Palm Beach County Convention Center, February 8th to the 9th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's what I was saying.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And now we're on to item 13A. Jim?
Okay. Ordinance number 16023, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending the land development regulations, amending chapters 1, 3, and 4 to begin implementing the community development redevelopment plan with the establishment of a new mixed-use 4 MU4 zoning district, including amendments or additions to the definitions, site development standards, zoning uses, and urban design standards, providing for conflict severability codification and an effective date.
Yes. For the commission, I'd like for staff to present, then open it up to public comment, and then for any questions by the commission. Is that okay? Sure. All right. Mike, please begin.
Thank you. Mike Rumpf, Planning and Zoning Director. It gives me pleasure to present this item to you because it represents the first step in implementing our brand new CRA redevelopment plan. This is the establishment, as Jim read in the description of the ordinance, the establishment of a new zoning district. The CRA plan recommends the establishment of this district generally for two different reasons. One, to bridge a gap between two existing mixed-use zoning districts, which have quite a separation or difference in intensity and densities, and this would be an in-between to provide a more gradual district where it is appropriate within the CRA area. Secondly, it allows for the establishment of secondary nodes A node, we would say, is a higher than typical activity area within the scheme of the redevelopment area. I'm not sure if that's really clear. There's different ways of describing a node. It could be a special, it could be a mini downtown, if you will, or I'll stop there. What I'd like to do, though, at the last presentation, I referenced some changes that were made to the ordinance itself for the regulations that might have confused because I didn't point out each one of those changes. I'm going to hand out to you a complete revised set and go through each page and point out some of those changes. Most of those changes actually were identified by the board themselves, and some of those were missing cells within different tables in the LDR.
Thank you.
Mike, how many pages is this?
Many.
All right. I don't think I can review it right now.
These are the exhibits in your report, corrected as I'd referenced before. What this is each page of the LDR which is being updated to establish the new mixed-use 4 zoning district. First page, no changes. No corrections, I should say. There are changes that are underlined compared to the existing LDR. Those are just definitions and terms. I'll move on, but if you want me to stop if I'm moving too quickly, get my attention.
Do you have this for the audience as well, or anything on?
I don't have enough copies for everyone, no.
I mean,
if I showed it on the slides, it would be too microscopic to see. That's why I didn't create slides for them.
I mean, Jim?
Sir, we're not at public comment yet. Yeah. Okay, so you could have a seat.
We'll let when it's open.
Thank
but you know, I'm in favor of listening to now, but table it so that public knows of the changes because, like you said, we're just getting them now as well.
This requires public notification. So in the newspaper, these changes were basically. I mean, we had an ordinance which indicated that we were creating a zoning district with establishing of uses. And we also, as law, we indicate that is on record at the Planning Zoning Division. I'm prepared to go through each change verbally so the audience has a better understanding of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm kind of under the sense that they want to see it. And, you know, I'm looking at what we got that was published in the agenda. The commission, what is your thoughts on this to table it so that the public can see the actual things rather than hearing it verbally?
I think that verbally and a demonstration would be more informative than a bunch of people, including myself. I've already seen this, but I think someone who doesn't have expertise in this would be lacking the ability to understand it, whereas we have an expert willing to.
Excuse me. You can make your comments in public. But we understand. So, Commissioner Katz, would you like to continue?
I'm in favor of our staff explaining each and every item that there are reservations about.
And then voting on it. And then Commissioner Casello, I'm favor into tabling it. Commissioner Romulus or McCrae?
Go ahead, President. I'm concerned.
All right. Well, that's 3 then.
Go ahead,
Mike, please proceed.
Sure. Let me preface again also by saying that the M4 zoning district, what you see in these tables, is really an interim establishment. As we've indicated before, the LDR is going to undergo an audit. That's what we call a comprehensive review of it against the new recommendations in your new CRA plan. To implement it in the LDRs, to make sure that the vision is established. This interim step to just get this on the books, because similar to this, we also have coming down the pipe for you to review before the audit occurs are some of the overlay regulations. These are elements of the CRA plan that have immediate implementation and use in our city to benefit development, to control and restrict the design of development. That's why these are being done in advance of the overall audit and comprehensive implementation of the CRA plan first. Secondly, it was done almost as a mirror to the mixed-use low 3 and the mixed-use high zoning districts. We didn't put a lot of thought into creating it, but basically using those as a template to create the MU4 to get something on the books. We know that the height is in between the low 3 and the high. we know that the density intensity is, again, in between the low 3 and high. There may be objection to M4 to begin with. We understand that, particularly as it relates to the Riverwalk project as they see it being manifested. I understand that. But the MU4, this is not a smoke and mirror thing. This is just a simple, basic template of this new mixed-use zoning district for immediate application. Going on. The definitions, very simple. We haven't added a definition. We've amended the existing ones, which talk about the low 1, low 2, low 3, and high districts, inserting mixed-use 4 into those definitions and terms. Very simple. Second table is the relationship between the zoning districts and the comprehensive plan land use classifications. It shows what corresponds with what. So if the public were to come into our offices and look at a zoning map and a land use map, this is how they relate. Certain land use classifications or certain zoning districts correspond with certain land use classifications. This table adds mixed use 4 to it, which is an existing table in their LDR.
So this is table LDR Chapter 3, Article 4, Section 3D.
This is a second page in the handout I just gave you, which is Chapter 1, Article 3, 5B 1.1, Relationship to Comprehensive Plan. You'll see simply the addition of one zoning district, which is a row heading, and how it correlates to the land use map.
Okay.
Classification. That's it. Secondly, also as simple or even simpler is just the list of zoning districts which exist in the LDR. Creation of one line, one row, mixed use 4. All right, here's where a lot of meat is in it, and this is the site standards for the mixed use districts. From low 1, low 2, low 3, now mixed use 4, and high. Setbacks, heights, FARs, densities, and corresponding footnotes. Now, what you'll see here is a slight highlighting under intercoastal waterway, rear abutting, the standards. And I've highlighted both the low 3, the new MU4, and the high, and how they're all 0. Now, again, there is nothing unusual about that given the fact that the existing table, would you like to see the existing table the way it sits in the LDR today?
It says 25, correct?
No.
Okay, then yes.
That's a correction. This is the existing table.
Okay. So that it was a mistake for at the P&D board and the first hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, when the tables are created, which were done by support staff, we didn't catch the error when they had populated the cells with different information. 25 was placed in there. Continuing, basically, you can see 25 corresponds with the low 1 and low 2, and 0 and 0 are mixed use low 3, mixed use high. That's codified today.
Okay, so the prior, it had a 7 footnote, which means plus 1 additional foot for each foot of height over 35 feet, but now it's subject to permitting agency approval.
Similar to existing today.
Okay.
Not a lot of thought was put into it. Understand that there's going to be a lot more thought put into this over the coming year as the audit takes place of our LDR as part of the implementation of the new CRA plan.
You know, Mike, the question I have about the audit is that why are we doing it before the audit?
Because of the immediate purpose or benefit of both the MU4 as well as the overlay regulations, which are going to be coming to you very soon.
And so our discussion will help you with the audit coming in?
Things that we hear now, sure.
Okay.
Yes. Moving on. Any questions on that table?
Nope.
You can see how we populated the MU4 cells for each one of the standard topics relative to low and 3 or low and high. Following pages are the zoning regulations which correspond or define each one of those districts. And another change would be on the next page, first text page after that table you just looked at. And this was a correction I pointed out to the board as well, and I'll point out now. This is how you'll see the bold text down in paragraph D, which is under mixed use 4. Bold text which reads transit core of the station area. Those were inserted words. because there's a discrepancy between the narrative and the table as to how the minimum density standard is applied. Understand you've got a transit area and a core.
This is the DTODD?
Yes.
Can you want to give the acronym for that as well?
Mike,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you because
All right.
I'm not sure if I'm the only one. Maybe I'm just the only one who's willing to speak up. But I'm following the paperwork, and I'm
Okay. Well, let's back up to where I started losing you.
And I know we're making a joke out of this, but, in all seriousness, I'm just, if you could just, what are we doing, please? What's going on here?
Okay, I think what part of the confusion may be me trying to explain a new district as well as talk about these corrections. So,
Attorney, could you give a recommendation with regards to printed material that didn't have accurate information prior to tonight?
Well, I think you have a choice, and I do think the public is entitled to see the nuances and details of it because it will assist them in framing their public comments at the same time. So I see two choices if it's important to have the public share in this information. One is to allow Mike to continue the presentation or abate the presentation, make the copies right now, provide them, and take this item up at the end of your agenda tonight. Or alternatively, to do the same thing, make part of the presentation or abate it, your choice. Table the matter, publish this detailed information on the city's website so any member of the public that wants to pull it up and take a look at it can do it without having to come and get a copy, and then take this matter up at the next meeting.
And then speaking of the zoning,
Mayor, if I may, this is Andrew Mack,
Yes.
Director of Development. I just, the items that he's corrected on this are very minor. You're talking about two items that are highlighted here, one of them which is the intercoastal setback, and then there's the actual title that was on the table was called MUL 3 or 4, and it's actually MU4. Is this correct?
generally, yeah.
Yeah, those are the two corrections that are different from what's in your packet as it sits now.
I'm well aware of that, and it's also what I said about the footnotes as well. And it's up to the commission if they want to go forward, because they can go. We can go forward. I would get them. Hear a motion to table, and then my question to Jim is that this would not stop the legal proceedings going forward, and that the planned, not the legal.
No, on the Riverwalk?
Yes, the public
No.
hearing, and it could still be accomplished on January 17th.
It could be. This item would come up first again so that could be cleared out of the way for the continuation. What's occurring tonight on Riverwalk is only step one. There's another hearing on that at the next commission meeting anyway.
But we need to approve the MU4 before we can approve
You
the
do.
Riverwalk.
So that's why that would occur at the next meeting
But we
first.
can approve them on the same meeting.
Yes, sir.
I think this is our second reading. We've talked about the MU4 from day one. This is nothing new. And like you said, there's just two minor changes here that it's pretty simple to follow. I don't see all the confusion.
Well, we can see it. That's why it's simple for us. And
These are typographical errors. This is not a change to a plan in any way, shape, or form.
Some are typographical, yeah. Some were just oversights, missing information in the original cells. And the one I just started explaining is a cleanup relative to the existing code. And that's when I think I started confusing a little bit.
All right.
If you want to hear more about the transit, this is technical information, yes. So sometimes there's no really easy way of describing it.
So if I don't hear a motion to table, we'll continue. Not hearing any?
My issue is that we heard this topic a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't as complicated as it sounds tonight, and that's my issue as in what's happened between then and now, and your explanation isn't really clarifying that for me. In actuality, it's actually making it murkier. So this is why I'm asking for the clarification, and I understand what Andrew was saying, that it's only two minor changes, but it sounds like a lot more from what you're explaining. So if you could maybe dial it down to technical terms, whatever you can do to actually simplify it so that people who aren't, at your level in engineering and everything can kind of follow. And that's all I mean.
Sure.
All right? Thank you.
If that's doable.
Well, let me skip over the transit core one. That's only a cleanup. That's because there was a discrepancy in where we required a minimum density of a project. Understand, we require projects to have minimum densities and intensities, right? One set of the regulations required everything within the whole transit area to be subject to a minimum. I'm sorry, as Commissioner McCray has often asked, graph illustrations, I should have a map that showed that, and last time I wanted to. We have downtown the transit-oriented development area, all right? That is a 1/2 mile radius. There's also a core area, which is a 1/4 mile radius. Part of the regulations required application of the minimum density within the entire transit area. Another set of regulations required it only within the core. There was inconsistency, and this is a cleanup. It's only to apply right now to the core area, the 1/4 mile area, the most concentrated area, which is anticipated around the future transit station. It's just a cleanup. Stop me or get me to slow down at any time. Table 3-21, which then follows the narratives text, is identical to 3-4. There are 2 of those tables in the LDR, and that's identical. You'll see the same change in the intercoastal waterway rear abutting setback standards. The next table is the use matrix, as we call it, which lists all the zoning districts and all the use categories or topics. And that shows the insertion of a column, which is the new district, mixed use 4. Andrew pointed out the original version of it inadvertently wrote or titled it mixed use L4, mixed use low 4. That's not the way the new scheme, according to the CRA plan, has us, the new typology or labeling of them. That's it. You'll compare mixed use 4 to mixed use high, low 3. You'll see they're being very similar. Next would be the notes, which correspond with the matrix. Begins with line D, use matrix notes. And again, very simple insertions of the mixed use 4 district. Again, establishing it where it's appropriate in the footnotes where it references mixed use districts. For example, under hotel and motels, live work units, hardware stores, and so forth. Again, you'll see where we would it corresponds with the notes itself. So if you look at the table, each of the cells indicates where a use is allowed conditionally, or not allowed within each of the mixed-use districts. These are the notes which correspond. I'll move on. So the next table, series of tables, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, what's the table called?
The table, which one? The one I'm going to, or where I was? These are the wireless communication facilities. This is in table 3-29. There's 3 of them. It is the cell tower regulations. We regulate cell towers based upon the zoning districts, and that's why we have to insert mixed use 4. This is also where a correction was made, which was pointed out by the P&D board, and that was on the second table, table 3-30, we had left out populating 2 of the cells for the mixed use 4 district. And you'll see those are slightly highlighted in your handout. Those were blank when we first published.
So there's the ability to get antennas on top of the mixed use 4, is what you're saying?
Yes, those would be.
And what was before is there was no ability.
That table were maximum heights. And basically you're just looking at footnotes 6 and 7 under 2 different topics. That's under a co-location scenario and under a mitigation scenario, which is a modification to an existing tower.
Okay.
So no, not really. They still, based upon what we did include in here, was under non-concealed or concealed freestandings.
Is that part of the height exception?
A tower? Wow.
Would they need, if it's over 100 feet, would they need to get a height exception to put the antenna?
Good question. Cell tower standards, I don't think that falls within the height exception, but it could be within a parapet. If you're going to have a tower up there, you'd also have air conditioning units, other things.
I understand. The question is that can they put an antenna 20 feet on top of the roof without requesting a height exception from the board?
I don't have the tower standards in front of me. I wouldn't want to guess, but I can have that answer for you next time.
I mean, okay. So we'll know about, and is that something that we could change in the audit if we don't want to have the antenna, or we want the antenna included in the height exception?
That's correct.
Okay, so would the commission want the antenna included in the height exception?
I'd like to hear back.
Yeah, let me tell you what those specific cell tower regulations are for each
Okay.
of those scenarios, whether it's a concealed, whether it's non-concealed.
Okay.
That'll answer our question. I'm sorry, I don't have that in my head.
All right.
And then the last section of the LDR which is affected are some of the design standards.
Mm-hmm.
There's a page and a half of those. You'll see some basic edits where the existing mixed-use districts are referenced where appropriate. Mixed use 4 under applicability. Very simple changes. Obviously, that would undergo much more scrutiny and review during the audit. Those are the actual standards, whether it's urban design standards or there are other technical standards like that we'd be looking at. So this is just the basics to get it on the books. That's it.
Okay. So before I ask any more questions, I'll give it up to public comments. And request that everyone keep it to around 3 to 5 minutes, but you're able to speak as long as you'd like. And hold applause and no applause.
Mayor, could we get an idea of how many people intend to speak so I could keep track of the time? Oh, okay.
No, there we go.
Seriously.
So this
Let me
is for the MU4. It has nothing to do with Riverwalk, but it's for the MU4 zoning district that's being put on the books.
All right, I'm going to do the,
And I please ask everyone to state their name and address before they begin.
I'm going to do the 3-minute timer so the speaker can see how much time they've got. I'll try not to let it ring at 3 minutes, but the mayor's going to give you a little bit more time anyway.
Correct.
Edward Tedman, 869 Northwest 8th Avenue. Seeing this come up, I noticed that there are 3 other nodes that are within the Woolbright US 1 intersection where there's an opportunity to apply this as well as the other unmentionable site. What I look at with a planning background is quality of life. If you're going to increase business, which the Palm Beach Post saying that this is something that's anticipated with this, that we increase the type of businesses that are going to be useful within a 3-mile radius of that business for the benefit of the local people, not an 11-mile radius type of business like Home Depot or Walmart or something that's going to generate traffic from 11 miles. We have limited access to US 1 from this area with Woolbright and Boynton Beach Boulevard. We have I-95 as a preventer and the rail that is going to be impacted by Brightline, which may increase freight traffic hidden behind the idea of the increase in passenger traffic. We have limited access. We have limited access to US 1. We have to look at the traffic count that we have now and what we can anticipate that we can provide a reasonable amount of traffic flow into this area. When you're increasing density, when you're bringing in these tower opportunities, and also there's another aspect of this thing too, is that renters are not stakeholders. That doesn't improve the quality of life in a town. We have the Ridge Road or High Ridge Road development out there that's been increased, that's been approved. And then not within our city limits, but we have the Winchester development out there that's going to be a real impact on the roads, especially on Boynton Beach Boulevard. So we have to look at these kinds of things as to how it's going to affect the quality of life in our city. That's all. Thank you.
Nancy Hogan, 37 Hibiscus Way, Ocean Ridge. And I will clarify that I own property at Snug Harbor, which is the second condominium in from Woolbright. And first time I came down here to enjoy it, I was expecting my firstborn, and he turns 40 this year. And I have to tell you, I have a master's in public administration. The first time I served on a planning board was in the early 70s in upstate New York. I served on the Housing Authority, and then I won't even go into the next 40 years. I've always been active. I am so not upset. I am in shock. The presentation here tonight. I can't believe that you spent the time and the sensitivity of talking about a personal issue and doing something about it, and you presented tonight, and they didn't know what they're saying. You didn't provide basic information for the community to understand what you're doing. I am in shock. In shock. And I hope every one of you thinks about it. And, Commissioner Casello, I like you a lot. You know that. I got my cowbell ready for you all the time. But, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. So anyways, I'm going to hold other thoughts. And I do have here, they said to wear white. I have my black and my white. I'm somebody who believes in investment. Investment in Boynton Beach is the best city in Palm Beach County right now. The prices are right. You have the energy. The bankers are ready to go. Let's get this city moving. And me in Ocean Ridge matters. I care what happens in Boynton Beach. And so I'll talk later about other things relating to what you're doing to the intersection and the safety of your community with very lack of information. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Clovis Moody. I reside at 3638 Southeast 2nd Street in Boynton Beach. I've lived there since 1980. And I came here tonight to be informed, but I'm getting more and more confused. I'm trying to understand what's going on. And I'm trying to understand what's happening in Boynton. I mean, I've been here since 1980, and I'm still trying to figure out, are we going to have a downtown? Are we going to be like a little village by the sea that we're supposed to be? And all these things we're hearing tonight, to me, doesn't, as a resident, as a consumer, I am not hearing things that are comprehensible to me as a consumer. I'm hearing a lot of technical jargon, and I understand there might be a need for that, but as a retired teacher, I also know that when you have an audience, you also need to ensure that what you're saying is comprehensible to your audience. I have a couple questions. One is there a vision about what our village by the sea should look like? And if there is that vision, who is monitoring that vision to see if we're moving toward it? Or if we're just doing something that somebody else has done that may have worked elsewhere? That concerns me a little bit. And this MU4 thing we're talking about, when we think about our vision, how does it impact Boynton's vision? Not Delray's, not West Palm Beach's, not City Place, not the Avenue, but Boynton. How do we create this village by the sea, and what will it look like when we're done? Those are my questions.
Brian Edwards, 629 Northeast 9th Avenue, Boynton Beach, Florida. Happy New Year first. I'll start it out on a good note. I just want to say, the Mayor, your comments about saying, you know, that we have the unspeakable. This has everything to do with Riverwalk, and that's the last time I'll say Riverwalk except for that. I feel like we're cramming for an exam. And shame on this commission, the CRA, for putting our staff in such a, what I would consider an embarrassing situation, that we're having to go through and review this information in this kind of detail. And yeah, it was left out. It's easy for the commission to view that, but the people in this room are pretty smart too. And a lot of us aren't for Riverwalk. And especially the height. This has everything to do with that. And now we're confronted with trying to put this together tonight so you can vote on it on the 17th. And we don't even exactly know what the heck is going on out here. That's how confusing it is. And I just want to point out that I think it's an awkward situation for some of the most respected people in the city, our staff, to have to be confronted with public disappointment on having this happen over a couple of week period after almost 2 years of knowing this was coming. And I'll leave it at that.
Hello, my name is Lori Porges, and I live at 450 North Federal Highway in Costa Costa. And I don't take the same view as many of you do. The reason I moved here from suburban parkland, if you will, was because I expected to live in a vibrant, busy, stores, people walking, riding environment. When I moved here 6.5 years ago, I was the first person to move into Costa Costa. I lived there when nobody else was there except myself and my dog. I was promised, I saw this beautiful schematic that the city had made of what you expected to do in downtown Boynton Beach. It was not supposed to be, as promised to me, a little town by the sea. It was supposed to be a busy community, more like a Delray Beach. That's what the words that were told to me. I was told that there was going to be a $10 million redo, if you will, of the area, to have parks and bicycle paths and outdoor cafes and places to walk and, you know, places to sit and things to do. And I understand that many of these people live in smaller, low-rise buildings. But that was not the Boynton Beach that I was expecting. I was expecting, and I was told, that this was going to be developed into many high-rise buildings, almost like a Boca on A1A. Now, perhaps that's not what other people thought, but that's what I was told. And I would venture to guess that most of the people who live in Marina Village and most of the people who live in Costa Costa were expecting the same thing that I am. And although I certainly feel that development should be done properly, I have no problem with that. Things should be taken into account as the people walking in cars. I certainly don't want to get hit by a car and parking and everything. To make it sound like if the unmentionable is built, the town's going to fall apart is just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. The more development that's brought into the area, the more taxes that are paid, the more people that come, the more stores, the more things you can do. A fuller life requires continuing to develop, and that's what I hope you guys do. Thank you.
Hi again, Steve Antone, 234 Southeast 2nd Avenue, Boynton Beach. What I'm hearing in the staff and what I'm seeing, I've seen and heard so many times, and you need to go and listen and look at when the City Commission of Fort Lauderdale, Miami, they had the same problems, and they went through the same song and dance, and you just have a lot of mumbo jumbo, and you sit there and say, okay, let's change everything. Let's change the ordinances. Does anybody on the commission really feel like going downtown in Fort Lauderdale at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and trying to go home? Do you want to work there and try to go home and through that traffic mess? Because that's what you're talking about with all these code changes. That's exactly what happened there. They did some changes and they allowed to building in the Everglades on the Sawgrass. Remember Sawgrass Expressway? One side is what? Condos. What is the other side? The Sawgrass. But that was never supposed to be allowed. But a city commission and county commission said, yeah, we'll just change the ordinances. We'll make it look good. We'll say some nice words. We'll call them nodes, whatever you want. And you will change things. It doesn't make it better. Again, do you want to go down there and live there? Do you want to live in Miami at 5 o'clock and try to say, look, let's try to go home now and take 2 hours to go 10 miles? Nobody wants that. That's why we live here, is to have the lifestyle we have without all the problems. And again, if you're developing, you're increasing taxes so you can't afford to live there anymore. The average income in Boynton Beach is $32,000 a year, I was told. Now, you're not going to be able to do much with that sort, and you're not going to be able to develop like that. Slow it down. I'm saying not stop. I'm saying slow it down, do it a lot smarter. Please, let's build something that everybody says, hey, I like what they did. I want to move there. Not like they did in Fort Lauderdale, Broward, Dade, going, no, we're out of here. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Steve Weary. I am the lawyer in full disclosure for ISRAM Realty and the Riverwalk Project. I just wanted to point out a couple things that I know every one of you up here knows, but for the benefit of the public and just to keep this in memory, this is not something that has come out of the blue, this text amendment. This is something that has been in the works, in consideration through a number of various public stakeholder meetings, meetings on weekends, meetings in the evenings by your CRA, stretching back as long as at least I think November of 2015. So this is not a new idea. It's been an evolution in coming, and essentially the two very small issues that have been the point of concern tonight, relating to some of the what I would describe as really ministerial or Scrivener's errors in the text amendment language, are not inconsistent with the ideas that have been discussed at length by the CRA and adopted into the CRA plan by this body as well. Essentially, what the CRA plan does, of course, is work to bring in urban design principles into certain areas of the city. One of those principles includes reduced setbacks. And of course, we're talking about a reduced setback along the intercoastal waterway, which is considered a right-of-way in certain respects. Certainly, I don't think anybody can doubt that. So this is something that should not come as a surprise. Discussing it and going through table 5.3 section 4. You can't even say that without people's eyes glassing over. The subject matter that's before you is by its nature technical. These are land development regulations, and unfortunately, for people who
aren't familiar with maybe dealing with land development regulations all the time, it might be confusing to listen to with or without materials. And the materials that have been presented, as I've said, have been, I think, very ably put together by your staff and reflect the sum of substance that's been discussed throughout the CRA plan consolidation process. So with that, I just wanted to add one small last point with respect to the ideas that I think would be beneficial to the city in terms of adopting this MU4 district. What it does is allow, among many other things, an increase in certain select and favorable density and intensity at limited locations in the city. In this particular location, which is a site-specific location called for by your CRA plan, the effect of this, we believe, will be to activate the four corners of Woolbright and Federal to help make the existing street front or ground level retail that is already in place at, for example, Las Ventanas, thrive better, and that's not going to happen without more people being willing to walk around and enjoy the pedestrian environment, and that's one of the things that this district will allow is that kind of development to occur. Riverwalk happens to be an implementation of that kind of development, and it's something that that this body, its advisory bodies, the CRA has given a great deal of thought to and has decided that is and should be a part of the future of the city. So I urge you to continue with the proceeding tonight and adopt this text amendment. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Kelly. I'm a traffic engineer with Simmons & White. I've been up here before. For full disclosure, I am the traffic engineer for Riverwalk Plaza. I'm going to talk very briefly and expound a little bit on what Stephen said. And one of the items, particularly the density, and many planning agencies, many jurisdictions, the state-of-the-art practice right now in planning is to increase density at appropriate locations. And a lot of times, and most of the time, that's at urbanized locations. And there could be a real benefit to that. The benefit includes a lot of times you're closer to major roadways, you're closer to I-95. It increases opportunity for transit-oriented development. I mean, that's something the comprehensive plan encourages. So even if there's not necessarily existing transit opportunities now, or there's limited, there's potential for more opportunity for growth for transit. And what happens is you're closer to employment opportunities, you're closer to shopping, entertainment, that type of stuff. So therefore, you're kind of decreasing the amount of miles traveled a lot of times. Whereas if you're increasing density sparingly and not really planning it correctly, and it's planned elsewhere, you're kind of encouraging urban sprawl, and then you're creating the situation where residents have to drive much further into town or much further to these major roadways. So there is a real benefit to good planning practice on locating density opportunities in kind of the urban area. Thank you.
Hi, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. I wanted to say, Mr. Rumpf, I know you've done a great job putting all this together. My objections are that it's wrong not to display the information. You did say at one point that some of the items were, quote, very similar, end quote, to other items, but you didn't explain the differences. And I think if we're all having to listen, we would have wanted to hear those differences. One of my big objections, of course, is the 1% green space allocation, which is appalling. As we are moving into an era of increased global warming impacts, we need to drastically increase our green space allocation on this. Next point is, please don't forget, because I won't, that the voters mandated a 45-foot height limit. Residents have begged you for months now to address the attorney's comments. We have been coming for months. I know I've been the only one in the public sitting at several of these meetings over the months, so I don't know where everyone else has been, but I've been enjoying it. It's been fun. At no point did we vote for 100-foot plus buildings. The voters voted for 45 feet. I mean, we are all for smart development. I've said this 5,000 times. I don't need to repeat myself, like I do to my students, so you know exactly what I'm going to say. The residents are telling you not to approve this, but I guess we don't pad your campaign accounts like the developers who don't live here or pay taxes here. year. We are all able to see the campaign reports. Take a look at them, people. See what they say. Because I know I've seen one, and they're quite shocking. Smart development needs to happen via a smart process. This is not smart, it's confusing. You represent the people, not the developers. Do your job, please, and represent us. We have been fighting this for months now. You're just not listening to us. At what point will you listen to your residents? And remember, we all know the taxes from this go to the CRA, not to the city, to address someone else's issue a minute ago. This does not solve city's budget problems or solve any of the city's problems because the money will go to the CRA. Thank you.
Henry Flanagan, 5556 North Ocean Boulevard. First of all, I must say that I agreed, certainly, ma'am, with your comments in terms of the verbiage being above my head. I was lost from, I'm not sure what a node is quite yet, but if I get one, I'll take medicine for it. In terms of the issue at hand, certainly I trust that you clearly understand no one here is going to be opposed to development. That's a matter of course. It's a natural, progressive fact. It's a matter of how that development takes place. The issue of the height of this proposed structure is clearly at hand. There's no question about that. It'll continue to be at hand. I do think that I would agree with the gentleman who spoke earlier about the fact that I think folks who rent properties don't necessarily have a long-term interest in the state of their community. And my sense is that good judgment and wisdom will prevail with this body. And it seems to me that when you look at things clearly and objectively, rushing to judgment on this particular issue could have profound negative consequences. And I think you're up against it with regard to the time frame that you currently have in place. My hope is that you'll consider this issue carefully for the long-term benefit of the entire community. To do anything less than that would be a clear error. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Lewis, and I reside at 350 North Federal Highway, apartment 510, here in Boynton Beach. I subscribe every day to both of our leading newspapers. Each week, there are dozens of realty firms that have thousands of listings. Unfortunately, although I spend many hours reading the papers, there aren't any listings for unincorporated, the city itself of Boynton Beach. We're the third largest city in the county. We have 70,000 residents. Why aren't there any advertisements? And the reason is that this is a blighted area, whether we want to admit it or not. Just look, if you will, and hold your nose as you go through Federal Highway and look at the empty lots that are there, the abandoned businesses, the empty storefronts. And those of you sitting out here who are opposed to development, what do you want to do? Retain what we have now? Every month another business goes out? I think just Nathan's just went out of business. It's terrible. People, your residents, are afraid to venture out of their homes after sundown. That shouldn't be. Right opposite where I live, there's a food store. People wouldn't go out to buy a cup of coffee or anything else after sundown. It's dangerous. We all read in the newspapers about sober homes, and they're all throughout the area. And when the insurance is exhausted for the addicts, both the drug and alcohol-related addicts, when the money stops coming from the insurance companies, they're thrown out onto the streets. Do you think that they return to New York or Philadelphia? No, they're huddled under the bus coverings trying to stay warm because they're homeless. This is what we have on the streets. No real estate salesmen are going to bring prospective clients into a blighted area. They'll never see that client again. We have to have development. We have to have progress. I'm sorry, I know that there's someone here who rejects development and progress and says, go slowly. Believe me, we've gone far too slowly. I live near 500 Ocean that's coming up. It's a wonderful building. I can't believe that there are people that say, this is a monstrosity, this is ugly. No, all they want to do is reject that which is different from where they live. I don't ask that people live in high buildings. I don't care if they live in two-story or townhouses. But I want new development coming into the area, and I want to get rid of blight. I want to be able to have my wife go out on the street at night. This is what we're entitled to, and this is what we're asking our commissioners here to give us. Please, please try to liberalize your thinking and say, yes, we need development, and don't try to hold back progress. I thank you.
Hi, Ron Hirsch, 450 North Federal. I just new to these proceedings, but anyway, it just seemed to me we started here with those young ladies talking about economic development. And I think everybody in this room applauded them and was happy for what they were doing. And I'm asking you for the same privilege for economic development, a space for these young entrepreneurs to maybe start up a business, be part of a business, see what's going on in this world. Without it, we just stagnate. And I don't believe that there's progress through stagnation. As Bob said, I see the empty stores. Empty stores don't produce income or employment for anybody. I heard saying that the people voted on a height of 45 feet. Times have changed. I don't know when this was voted on, but things have developed now. We now have cell towers. We now need, higher buildings, higher heights to do this. And I think everybody in this room uses modern technology. And that's what I believe the developers of this are looking to do, looking to step forward, not to stay the same. I'm one of those people that believe change is good. So thank you.
Michael, before the next speaker, that vote was taken in 1982, I believe. It was a referendum to put the height 45 feet, 86?
82.
82, thank you. I thought so. That's before a lot of the commissioners were born.
Lisa Hanley, 175 Southwest 2nd Street. I'm asking for some clarification for myself and as a speaker for the Sierra Club. I'm a person who processes written information better than oral, so I think this is what I heard, that rear abutting on the intracoastal waterway, 0 setback. Is that the change that I heard in the table, so that buildings will be allowed right on the intracoastal without a setback?
Answer it?
Yeah, please.
It isn't a change. That's generally the way the two highest mixed-use districts are written now. This is used, just continuing that for the mixed-use 4 until all 3 or all 4 or 5 of the mixed-use districts can be evaluated more thoroughly in the upcoming exercise to implement the CRA plan.
All right. So
I think the question was it a change from what they saw?
There is no change.
No, from what they saw in the materials.
Well, technically, that's not my question.
That's not?
No,
Okay.
it was just, this is not a proposed change. This is the way the guidelines are now, 0 setback.
That's correct.
Since the MU4 is a new classification, the current MUs already have this specific.
They already have the 0. All right, I just wanted to clarify that because some of our members were concerned. All right, thank you very much.
Hello again. I feel like I was just here. Christine DeHassett. I won't go through the rest since I had already reported it. Can I ask, can we just cut through all this male bovine excrement? Come on, guys. This is absolutely ridiculous. I think Mr. Weary probably made the closest statement to the non-truth that could ever be. This is not out of the blue. This is not a new idea. This has been vetted in all these public stakeholder meetings. That is absolute horse manure. You were just given backup tonight of radical changes. These aren't 2 very small changes, and these weren't existing before. I have documents, and you can go back into your own ordinances and your own LDRs, that mixed-use high never had a 0 setback. The mixed-use low 3 never had a 0 setback on the intercoastal waterways. All 3 of those are changes. All 3 of those are unexplained changes for a project that is coming up, he who should not be mentioned, and to be thrown at you tonight to vote on it without any public vetting is, I'm shocked. This is probably about the lowest that I have seen decision-making and transparency to this date. So let's talk about the difference between a first reading and a second reading. Can you legally make changes? Absolutely, and it's done all the time. But don't do it under the pretext that it was an error. It was some clerical person who typed in something that didn't quite understand what they were doing. That's not what is happening here. You cannot make substantial changes between a first and a second reading. And I'm really glad that there is a court reporter here tonight to capture all that, because you can't tell me that going from a 90-foot setback in this area to a 0-foot setback on the intercoastal waterway is not substantial. Nobody can say that with a right mind, with all honesty and integrity. That's what we're talking about. As this project was submitted and as it went through each staff review, I have all the documentation. There's other groups here that have watched this project from the beginning, has all the documentation too. It has always said 25-foot setback, then 1 foot for every foot above 35 feet in terms of building height. So let me just give you an example. That example could be Riverwalk. That would mean, under those rules, it would need a 90-foot setback. So to tell me to go from a 90-foot setback, and you're being asked to approve a 0-foot setback, forget the environmental impacts, forget anything else that's going on, that is absolutely unacceptable. I don't think the public has much more tolerance for this, guys. We've tried, we've come to the meetings, we've written letters, we've made public announcements, we've actually even, up until this point, besides my male bovine excrement, try to be nice about it. I'm shocked. So my objection here is to even consider passing this ordinance 16-023 on the second reading, and you can't vote upon ordinance 17-002, which is the accompaniment ordinance for this. The reason is clear. It's a substantial change, period, over, out. This objection that I'm giving you right now is supported by the Florida Attorney General opinion as well as a Florida Supreme Court case. So, you have some choices to make. But given this strong public attendance and given that you're on the wrong side of the law with this one, I'd be very careful in my decision making. Thank you.
Good evening and a Happy New Year. I've spoken here before. My name is Richard J. Tefano. I'm a director of High Point Section 4. I also represent the other sections of High Point, and I am a director of the Boynton Coalition for Responsible Development. Tonight I've asked a reporting company to come and take notes of this meeting. I agree that it is probably illegal to make these changes without posting them and following the procedures for material changes to statutes. But right now, there are two things I want to speak to. The first one is the MU4 district. As I've said many times before this forum, as well as before the CRA and the Planning Board, the density on the MU4 nodes are too high. The height is too high. This not only affects the Riverwalk Plaza Shopping Center, it affects the four corners of Woolbright. Our development is right in back of the Sunshine Plaza. We are directly affected by high density in this, quote, node. We all love the high-rise concept. Coast to coast is beautiful. That's where it should be. This should be a transition. And 100 feet, or 105 feet, as was asked for before the Planning Board, is too high. So our groups, and I represent over 5,000 homeowners, is asking to keep this at 75 feet. The second thing I'd like to talk about is the appearance of impropriety. Boy, the train is really rushing down the tracks, isn't it? The CRA proposes a 75-foot MU4 district. All of a sudden, at the next meeting, it's 100 feet. The hearings for the Planning Board are right between Christmas and New Year's. The first reading of this statute is the day after a legal holiday and a 4-day weekend. What's going on? I just can't figure it out. Is somebody trying to hide something? Why are we in such a hurry? Thank you very much.
Lila DeCamera, 836 East Drive. Good evening, everyone. Residents that refer to the 45-foot height referendum that was voted on in the past, and yes, I guess you said it was 82, 87, I don't know. Anyhow, they have lived in Boynton for decades. They're not just passing through. Some years after that referendum was passed, there were some developments wanting to push the height and density envelope. And a former city manager announced at a city commission meeting, I happened to be present, that the city did not have to adhere to the 45-foot height anymore because Boynton Beach was now a home rule city and they did not have to abide by what the citizens wanted. I don't remember the citizens ever voting to become a home rule city, and I don't think that ever happened. So does that mean that the commission at some point voted for it unbeknownst to the residents? The wedding cake concept has been the planner's idea for many years now. Now the planner's concept revolves around activity nodes. This MU4 doesn't only affect Federal Highway and Woolbright. I understand that's also going to be at Ocean Avenue and Federal. Maybe Ocean Avenue and Boynton Beach Blvd. Maybe another place. We don't know what the future planning concept will be, but as far as the activity node concept, which is currently being touted, seems to involve the theory that people are going to be walking, biking, shopping, etc. at certain areas of the city. Not everyone wants to walk. A lot of people like to use a car. And what you're doing with always taking away the parking spaces, what you're going to have in the future is what's happened down in Delray, where they had to use taxpayers' money to make parking garages because they've made a deficit in the parking. So I hope you all will reconsider this, what you're proposing to do. Absolutely wrong.
My name is Ed Bresnahan. I live at 5552A North Ocean Boulevard in Ocean Ridge. And I thank the Commission for this opportunity to address you all. I have some prepared remarks. The first is I am president of the Ocean Ridge Yacht Club, and we're directly across the ICW from Riverwalk Plaza and from what would be the area covered by the MU4. All 50 homeowners in Ocean Ridge Yacht Club have been noticed on the hearings that are being had here. We are an affected party by our proximity of less than 400 feet from the proposed MU4 district. We are not against development. For all the reasons that we heard here tonight, we need to see development. We don't like to see the stores going out. We don't like to see the blight. But what we do want to see is responsible development. And what we're seeing here tonight, not only I think is irresponsible, it defies logic. Where is the logic in MU4? Where is the logic in walling off the ICW with 100-foot high, zero setback buildings? There's logic there. Where is the logic in rushing to judgment? What is there that is so critical that we're trying to make decisions on the fly without putting paper in front of people to make a judgment on? The public has not had a public hearing on this, and I believe that's a violation of due process. Tonight, you vote on the establishment of a new MU4. Although it was adopted as an ordinance in October, you as commissioners have no legal obligation to vote in favor of MU4. Instead, we respectfully ask that you amend MU4 to have a 75-foot or less height limit. This is a legislative matter. You don't have to approve the proposed plan. You cannot ignore the overwhelming opposition of the citizens who do not want this height zoning. And you cannot ignore the quality of life impacts that this zoning will impose on all the nearby residents. Now, you might say it doesn't matter to me because my constituents west of I-95 won't be affected. They will be affected, as the increased density of people and vehicles will clog roads, shops, and restaurants on both sides of I-95. Your votes tonight will always follow you. You won't be able to escape them. The town that we all cherish as a beautiful coastal town, at least that image, deserves a height limit that's compatible with the surrounding areas. It also deserves an open ICW, not a walled-off ICW that will happen with zero setback. Thank you for your time.
Herb Suss, the Boynton Beach resident. Many years ago, and I think Mike knows this, I lived on Wilbright, approximately, and Congress. There was a building built there that exceeded the height limit. You remember, Mike, 45 foot? We fought it. It went over height level. So it was 45 feet, and where we live, the buildings went up, and it's blocked, and it's disturbed us as a quality of life, a view. So a view to other people may not be important, but to us it was, and it exceeded the 45-foot limit. Now we're going from 45. Now, I want to propose something. I'm for sensible development. We have to have development. I'm not going to question that. Absolutely. But now, from 45 foot to go to 105 foot, I don't trust it anymore, because it's 105 foot today and 150, 60 feet later on. So 75 feet, I think, is a reasonable type of situation. I want development. We need development. I don't want to see empty stores. We need the tax money. But I don't trust. From 45 foot, and we fought that. Mike knows it. My community came out. We were shushed down. Now it's 75 feet. 75 feet, now it's 105 feet, and with all the towers are going to exceed. From 105 feet, trust me, the developers are going to go in the future, and we are going to build big buildings. I'm not against, but 75 feet, and to have a quality of life issue, and it's going to become like a concrete jungle. So just think about it. 75 foot is okay, but I don't trust it anymore, because now it is 105 feet. Where did we go from 105 feet, 150 feet, 160 feet? I don't trust the developers. They're going to con you. I rest my case.
9 o'clock. Good evening. My name is Harry Woodworth. Live at 685 Northeast 15th Place, Boynton. Been here for about the last 30 years, and tonight I'm just speaking for myself, since Inca has a new president. I was going to go over a bunch of stuff here, but I thought I'd focus on mixed use, because just to set the stage, I've told you guys 100 times, we're for development. I mean, my God, Inca's sat up here and been on both sides of the issues. I've been on both sides of issues. We are for development. Nobody is against development, so we can just put that to rest. The height thing, subjective. The density thing, subjective. But the problem with all of this stuff is this isn't the smartest thing we've ever done here in Boynton Beach, and it's not the most above board thing, and that's a bit of a problem. A lot of people don't know what happened here tonight with the setback change. The documents people say they have, I have, everybody keeps this stuff. Up until this meeting, it was 25 foot plus, which made it 90. Now it's 0 all of a sudden. Nothing handed out, nothing talked about, and suddenly it's going to be changed on second reading. Come on, people, that's not right. Mixed use. Everybody's in favor of mixed use. Let's just clarify that. It came out in the 60s. Everybody loves it. My God, you know, Seattle changed it in the 90s because it wasn't working well. My God, yeah, I said that. The stepchild of this thing in the 90s was changed in cities that were talked about as the place it worked. In Seattle, they started changing it. There have been all kinds of studies since then. And just to clarify, I'm talking mixed use in terms of urbanism, walking, mixed uses in the same place, people getting together with different uses in the same thing, walking, biking, hopefully so successful that people get in their cars and drive to those places like they do in Portland, where I'm familiar with. My son lives, in Seattle, where I always go. Those places are wonderful. I love them. And who hasn't walked in a big city in Manhattan and enjoyed the walk? Who hasn't done it in San Francisco? Who hasn't done it in a city in Europe where they've been doing it for 1,000 years? It's fun, it's great, it's wonderful, and guess what? It works great in those wonderful, dense, massive urban areas where cars are not an option. Try parking a car in Vienna, where I lived once, or Hong Kong or Singapore. You leave them in the garage, you don't drive them. You do all this other stuff. You walk, you don't take bikes, but there's mass transit. It works, I get it, but it only works in high density areas, urban areas, big cities. And guess what? There's study after study after study in North America where mixed use has fallen on its butt. It hasn't worked. These are trade articles. This isn't internet stuff. You can look this up. These are trade articles You know, the dirty little secret in development magazines is they throw a couple of stories on and give the politicians the mixed use they want because they know they're not going to make money on the retail. It has failed in the outer edges of the big urban areas in California, in Michigan, in Texas, in Tennessee. Pick a place. Get away from a big city like Chicago and New York where it does work. Get it. Okay? There's no mystery to this. Everybody knows what makes retail and commercial space work. Easy access. You got to have easy access. You got to have, let me make sure I get this 100% right, convenient parking. Wow, rocket science. Strong co-tenants in your retail commercial environment. And you got to have proximity to high-density urban areas. That's a recipe that's been known for 500 years. There is no mystery to it. It works. Everybody knows it works. It's documented. And guess what happens when you don't have that? Mixed use fails, and it's failed all across North America, and these guys sitting over here will tell you in their trade magazines where the articles are that point that out. But they won't say it here because you guys want mixed use, because that's what the planners got from their last convention. Read this stuff. It's out there. Well, guess what? Look in Boynton Beach. We don't go to Texas or California or Michigan or any of those other places. How'd the mixed use do up on Boynton and Federal? How's the mixed use doing in Casa or in Las Ventanas? Hey, how's the mixed use doing in the back by the marina? Okay, desirable restaurants, top-line restaurants, avoid these places like the plague. Ask the rental agencies that go through these places every couple of weeks because they can't rent the unrentable. Okay? There's no mystery to this. This is the real deal. And we're about to do it again. And I get the fact that people don't want to drive. But guess what? When you build this thing, the people that move there, all 231 of those residents, those apartments, are still going to drive because nobody's going to work there. Because one of the key components of mixed-use working is having jobs that are nearby. And you can't catch the bus because one doesn't take you any place you want to go. And the train station will be there someday. I won't live long enough to see it. Maybe a couple of us won't. The rest of these kids will. We just got to add some common sense to this development. We want development. We agree with development. Boynton needs development. It just needs development with a brain. You're going to move into this place. You're going to walk across to the Wendy's because that's all that's going to be left. You're going to shut down 4 restaurants. Nobody that lives in this place is going to work in this place. Yeah, they might walk across the street if they're going to buy a few things at Public and Sunshine Square, but you really think they're going to buy a lot of groceries and drag it back across? You think you're going to pull out of there? I mean, you got to go someplace else because the only thing that's going to be there is a fabric store and a drugstore. That sells booze, so maybe you're okay. I mean, and a bank on the corner. The driving part doesn't go away. This doesn't solve the problem. This isn't the utopia that we're selling it as. Yeah, it's mixed use because you put the name on it, but they're still going to have cars. They're going to drive to work. They're going to come back from work. They're going to go to all the places they go now for entertainment. So there's not a movie theater within 5 miles. Nothing changes. What are we kidding ourselves on here? Anyhow, that's all I had to say on this. I just think Boynton deserves better than this. And they deserve a much more open forum than this. You guys saw this stuff was put in at the last minute. It was thrown in. There was stuff hidden, moved around. It was like, where's the P? And tonight was ridiculous. I mean, come on. It was a substantial change made between the first and second reading. Nobody wants to admit it. It should go back to first reading. It should come back here. Take it out 2 weeks. Big deal. Do it right, for God's sakes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Sheldon, 646 Snug Harbor Drive. I was here on the 27th, the day after Christmas, the day after our national holiday, and we spoke against the changes at that point in time. This is not a new item. I mean, it's been 2015, 2016. It's been a year and a half. And for a year and a half, they've said, we're going to have 75-foot height, we've got certain setbacks, we've got certain densities, and now you're snowballing us. Come on, guys, you're better than that. Take the time and do it right. I asked you this on December 27th. I'm asking you this again tonight. Hear the public. Listen to what we're saying. We have a height restriction. We have a setback restriction. We like to have growth, but we want it the way we want it. Not this cram down. Thank you very much.
Yep.
After this speaker, is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Okay, if you want to, please work your way towards the front.
My name is Butch Buoni. I live at 450 Horizons East, apartment 304, Boynton Beach 33435. Most of you know what I'm going to say before I even say it, but I am going to say it anyway. I am the president of Sterling Village Condominium Association. I speak for 840 residents right at the epicenter between Ocean and Woolbright. If anyone is impacted, we are impacted. We talk about incompatibility. Our highest building is 3 stories. Now, and as Mike said, I am not technically trained, and it might be a little confusing for me to look at things. But let me explain. I'm a retired military test pilot and also a retired real estate broker. I can understand things, but I don't even need that. I walk out my balcony and I now see 500 going up. It affects my view on that side. We haven't discussed 501 South Federal, which is going to go up, and it's another multi-story above 45 feet. We talk about Riverwalk. Now, I'm under the same impression. 75 feet was bad enough, but now 100 feet and the 0 setback. I sort of have a feeling anybody that's gone to a magic show or an illusion show, what do? You get misdirection, you get sleight of hand, and you get obfuscation. Welcome to this. I'm sorry. I speak against MU4. MU4 is great if it's limited to 75 feet, but not 100 feet, then with allowances for the towers and whatever that we don't even know yet. So, again, thank you.
So, Commission, would you like to speak, take a break, or take a vote?
Go ahead and speak. No, speak.
All right. So, does anybody would like to go first?
Sure.
All right, Commissioner Katz.
With regards to the belief that things are being crammed down people's throats, that this process has been rushed, I disagree. People are allowed to disagree. I'm sorry if you're on the other side of my opinion here. This project that can't be talked about right now has been in the works for 2 years. I don't deny for a second that they have absolutely been working with the city to help, in conjunction with the consolidated plan, recognize a vision that has been pushed by the city, the CRA, and other entities in the government. But I disagree with the argument that this is being forced or this is being rushed. It's been in the works for a long time before 3 of the people up here sat up here. Since 3 new members have been seated last March, we have had, at this point, I can't count how many meetings, whether it was outside of these chambers or in these chambers, all public, regarding these changes. The categorically typographical errors, I assure you, to the question whether or not this was intentional, whether or not staff or anyone on this commission or anyone in this city purposely omitted information to then slip the information back on at this meeting, the answer to that is no. Just categorically not true. I understand if you oppose this, that presents an opportunity to cast doubt on the process, but it's not true. If anyone has any evidence that any individuals, whether on this commission or working for this city, intentionally colluded with anybody to deceive the public or omit that information, please bring that forward, because that person has no right to work in this city. They have no right to hijack this process. But again, I submit to you that that's simply not true. So, if you can prove that accusation, then by all means, please bring that information to the commission. Like I said, just this process has played out for a long period of time. Those in the audience today who disagree with the errors that were in that report will not support it under the current or the previously existing typographical error. So I understand that people feel that information has been presented tonight that they were unaware of, but the facts are that the information has been out there for a while. A typographical error or two made in absolute mistake is not going to, in my opinion, derail votes that we've taken for months. We voted as a commission twice in favor of the consolidated plan, which specifically outlined what MU4 was going to be. In those two votes as a commission, I believe the total vote was 9-1. Only one dissenting vote on the overall consolidated plan, which included MU4. As a CRA, the same body, 5-0 vote. That's 14-1 by this body right here, 14-1 vote in favor of the consolidated plan, which incorporated mixed use 4. The CRA advisory board, I believe the end vote on the consolidated plan, which includes MU4, was 7-0. The P&D vote last week regarding the specific project, again, affirmed by the majority. I know that these people are not the same people sitting before me, but they all are representatives in their various capacities on different boards and commissions. I intend to motion or second, but certainly vote in the affirmative on this because, as some people here tonight have stated, these plans in one iteration or another have literally been in existence for decades. There have been plans and talk of development downtown for as long as I've lived in this city. Prior to that, I understand that the details change over time. I can probably say nothing to those who were here in 1982, 2 years before I was born, that wanted 45 feet, other than that decisions made in 1982 might need to evolve 30 some odd years later. So again, with that, I won't beat around the bush. I intend to support the MU4 zoning district as stated.
Vice Mayor McCray, do you have any comments?
Sure, thank you. I was born in 1949. Came to Boynton.
MU4, not about being born here.
I was born in 1949. We moved to Boynton in 1954. I don't think anybody was sold a bunch of hodgepodge, as you all could call it, as the citizens that live in District 2, where we talk about the heart of Boynton. I watched them tear down nightclubs, restaurants, beauty shops, gas stations, you name it, it was torn down. We was promised that it was going to be rebuilt. We're still waiting like 23 years later for anything to happen. How do I feel? Disgusted. But I represent District 2. Commissioner Katz has summed it up, I think, about as best as I can. I'm going to vote in favor of the MU4 district, although I'm up for re-election. That has no bearing on what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say. I am in favor. This has been on the plate a long time. We need to move it forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Romulus?
I'd like to have Commissioner Casella.
Commissioner Casella, would you mind going next?
Yeah, I think this has been vetted thoroughly. We've had it through the CRA. We've had a first reading on this. We've had many meetings on this. Agree to disagree. That's the best I can sum it up. The zero setback. I was at the P&D meeting last week, at the day after Christmas, a couple days after Christmas there, and we talked about these minor changes that are going to be coming up before the commission tonight. We talked about that. Now, I don't think these changes are substantial. I think that they're minor, in fact.
Please.
I didn't interrupt you, sir. Thank you. Let me sum this up. I'm in favor of it.
Commissioner Ramos, would you like me to go first? Or you were, okay. My question is on footnote number 5. On table 3.4. It says maximum height on intracoastal waterways 35 feet, period. Is that correct, or is that another change that needs to happen?
35 or 45?
35. It's the one you gave me on both, everything. It always says maximum height on intercoastal waterway is 35 feet. That was what was there before as well.
What I'm doing is looking to see where footnote 5 corresponds with. That's maximum height.
Yeah.
Would one of you please read footnote 5?
Maximum height on any street frontage. This is under maximum height. This is not a setback provision.
Correct.
This is under low. Maximum height on any street frontage is 45 feet. Maximum height on the intercoastal waterway is 35 feet. Heights may require reduction where adjacent to a single-family zoning district where necessary to achieve compatibility requirements of these regulations.
Does that need to be changed, or is that correct? And that how does that apply to a zero setback or any setback?
You cannot look at just that portion of the table alone. Go down to setbacks, and I guess this is my segue to continue justifying that. What we're doing is not magic or anything of the sort or intentional. Anyone has access to the land development regulations online, and they can look up what the existing regulations are. And the commission has been handed out a copy of the existing regulations.
Yes.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, this is a business meeting of the City Commission. You've done a great job so far in terms of taking your opportunity to speak and not being interrupted as members of the commission have. Please don't shout out. We have rules of decorum. If you shout out and disrupt the meeting, one of the members of the police department will escort you from the room and you can listen to the rest of the meeting in the lobby.
Again, I'm not sure, and I welcome anyone to come in. Anyone who knows me and has worked with me directly, such as those representatives for Inca or any other members of the public, I have an open door. I'd welcome to meet with anyone who has questions on these regulations. I really prefer doing that rather than having misinformation or misunderstandings of regulations or a process. So please, come see me. What's most important is if you look at the existing regulations which you have, rear abutting, these are setback provisions. Rear abutting, you have two categories.
Correct.
Residential and intercoastal waterway.
Correct.
Under intercoastal waterway, current regulations, under the low 3 and high, you have 0 feet.
Absolutely, I looked that up.
Let me also state, it's very important, we're fixating on certain things which seems to prove certain arguments or positions. The proposed project, which you're going to later hear about, has setbacks along the intercoastal waterway which range between 15 and 50 feet, not 0. These are intended to be flexible zoning districts. In order for a project to go through these regulations, make it to the commission, it goes through weeks and weeks of staff review, and 0 is intended to provide something that's flexible. It's not a build to. They don't have to build to 0. That's the minimum setback. They could build greater, and we review it, and we want more greater. It may be appropriate to have even more than 50 feet in certain instances. In this case, where it abuts the water and no single-family zoning districts, what we review has been appropriate. I'm sorry, I know I was waiting for that opportunity, but I know that's not exactly what you're
asking. Absolutely. I don't think my question was answered about footnote number 5. Maximum height on intercoastal waterway is 35 feet. Can you please explain how that affects the MU4 zoning district, which that is subject to, if I'm not mistaken?
That is superseded by the other standards, is the best way to say it.
So what other standards that you're referring to, because I'd like to see them?
Well, the height standards and the other standards, such as the setbacks and so forth.
That's what I'm asking is if it's a 0 setback, is it 35 feet? Or if it's a 10-foot subject, is it not subject to the 35 feet maximum height?
Sorry, one more time?
So the footnote 5, the sentence says maximum height intercoastal waterway is 35 feet. Is that with a 0 setback? If there's a setback of more than 1 foot, that setback is not required.
That's probably how we would review it, yes. I know it's not very clear, but yes.
So as
Exactly.
long as there is at least a foot setback, it does not have to have a 35-foot maximum height.
And while staff reviews projects, there'll be much more than a 1 foot setback, yes, especially with a 100-foot high building.
Well, no, you just said that it's 0 foot, so.
All right.
So it's confusing, I know. And then the structure height minimum in the new one you said is 45 feet. In the table 3-4, it's the same as mixed use high. Is that the I don't understand that. Is that for the street frontage, or is that?
Where are you again? I'm sorry.
So under mixed use urban, lot area minimum acres. Public part, all other uses, lot frontage minimum, structure height minimum. Can you please, is that in structure height minimum feet, it says 45. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 from the top under lot area minimum acres on the table that you just gave us.
Yes. What's your question on it?
Does that mean that there's a minimum 45 feet on all properties in MU4?
We're probably looking for the predominant height, the average height of a building or the project. So it's not undersized, which is similar to the reason why we have minimums in the TOD, for example, for greater intensities and densities.
Correct. So you're saying that MU4 can have height structures less than 45 feet?
Yes.
Okay, but that is not what the table says.
Staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we're reviewing it literally like that. So you could have
I mean, no, there is other tables that say the MUH is 30, and there's some tables that says it's 45. So I want to know, is that something that would get caught in the audit, or can we fix that now?
Let's staff commits to looking at that before second reading, clarifying that.
This is second reading.
I'm sorry.
I'll be more than happy, to table it, but I don't think we're going to get a second. So
It's supposed to be 30 feet.
Thank you. I will pass the gavel and make a motion to table it for 2 weeks so that we can get clarification on everything that has happened, and so that we understand that what is average height instead of minimum height.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Well, thank you.
The motion fails 3-2.
All right. Mike?
Yes.
I'm going to say it's okay. We're going to move on. But that is a question I'd like to get answered later. Because I thought the point of having regulations is that they're strictly enforced so that we know what developers can do and what they cannot do. There's maximum heights, minimum heights. And so that's kind of where I like that, staff would.
Agreed. They should be clear.
Okay. Then footnote 9 is subject to permitting agency approval. That has to deal with the Intracoastal Waterway. Does that include dock plans? Because you can have a dock on the Intracoastal Waterway. Do docks get looked at the building site, or can they come in afterwards? And that are not subject to commission approval? I mean, that's a question I have.
That's really going to be a permitting issue, but yes, that's why. I mean, if you look at number 9, what number 9 applies to,
Yeah.
obviously, is that a 0? If there's things that are overhanging into it,
Yeah.
it's going to be subject to whatever jurisdiction has over the right-of-way.
Okay. Next is regarding open space and a minimum mixed use. I read an article this past week about how lots of retail is closing throughout the country. It's not just Boynton Beach. This is going on throughout the country. And so, but, you know, I would still like to have economic development, which requires commercial space. But I also know that open space has economic development opportunities. I kind of want to know, is that something that we can look forward to in the audit, to have a minimum commercial space, open space requirement for mixed use?
We're going to look at that, yes.
Okay, and so right now it's 1% of usable open space. Is that the square footage of the lot or the square footage of the building?
Of the property itself, the lot.
Okay. So if it's 400,000 square feet, that means there has to be 40,000 or 4,000 square feet of open space. And can you give me the definition of open space? It's plazas or other open public space, yeah.
Right.
Is it, I know that...
Usable open space would be something that is, it wouldn't count for private recreation areas. It's going to be generally open to the public. It wouldn't be general walkways. It's going to be intended meeting spaces, urban spaces. It could be a green area and open areas, park settings.
Is there a minimum set for open space requirements? So it's, what you're saying, it can't be a walkway of like 5 feet wide. It has to be at least a certain square footage.
Even it wouldn't be a 10-foot wide walkway, which is just an interconnectivity. That's not necessarily usable open space. Now, if there was some widened plaza with art features, and I mean, that could count toward it.
Okay. And then as for some comments, you know, Boynton Beach is not a village anymore. It is a city. And that the people that moved to Costa Costa, you know, it was originally called the Promenade, and they went under because they did not necessarily tell exactly what things were going to happen. I'd like to see that we have the 2% usable open space just because we don't have a minimum requirement for commercial development. And with, you know, we're talking 2% of the area square footage. I'm pretty sure, you know, when Isram builds a boardwalk, that's covered it, but this is also for any other developments that are moving forward in the MU4. So I'd like to pass the gavel to see if we can get a 2% open space minimum requirement.
Is that a number you've researched, or is that just a number you've decided?
Well, that's what MUH is. And so the mixed-use core, future land use, used to have the 2% requirement, but they changed it to 1% for the MU4. As you can see by the strike-through on footnote number 13. So, yeah, none of the other mixed uses require any open space. Maybe that's something we can look at the audit, but yeah, open space is open space. It's used for everybody. You know, this is something that we are asking for the residents and future residents of Boynton Beach. And that's the reason why I have that motion.
Mike, why was it changed from 2% to 1% in the MU4?
Really just relative to the high. They're lower, they're smaller projects, perhaps slightly smaller areas, so it's just less percent. I confess, there was not a lot of thought put into these basic standards. Relative to the low 3 and high, yes, that degree, but not any more than that. Knowing that we'd put more time into it later. And knowing that open space really wasn't a deficiency of the first project that this is being applied to.
So is this something we can change at the audit or discuss at the audit?
It will be reviewed at the audit.
Thank you.
So it seems that we got a lot of things going forward with the audit moving forward. When do we expect to have that completed, I guess, Andrew?
In the coming year, within the coming 8-12 months.
Okay. And so any development that is before the audit is not subject to the new restrictions. And is it apply on when it's being put in, the plans are being put in, or when they are approved?
When they apply. If it's a complete application, yes, it basically is reviewed against the regulations in place at that time.
So anything put in before the audit is subject to what you said?
Current regulations.
Current regulations, not much thought has been put into it. I think that's what
you are an
did
attorney,
mention.
aren't you?
So, yeah, I can't approve of that based upon that statement. I'd love to approve it after an audit And so I'd vote in the negatory because it's not that I'm against the MU4, it's that it is the immediate use right now, which may be subject to changes in the future that will not be required in any development that comes in. And Commissioner Ramos, you're last.
Please also know that there is not really, as far as what's coming in down the road, M4 is not currently planned for a subsequent development activity. So it's not as if there were more, if this was ideal. I understand the uniqueness of the zoning district and unique locations where it is programmed.
No, I understand that, and the comment is that this is for the future, so it doesn't really matter what is happening now. There's always hypotheticals that can come in the next 8 to 12 months.
Sure.
On any really future land use of mixed-use core, if I'm not mistaken.
So I'm a firm and avid believer in finding a middle ground and trying to, just come to terms and compromise. And when on the first reading of this, I did vote in the affirmative for this zoning because I feel that it is the will of the majority of this commission to move in this direction. And I wanted to make sure that as commission we have the foresight to be able to do these moves and do it as a team. But after this evening and the information being presented at best was confounding for me, I find myself not feeling comfortable with these changes and feeling comfortable with some of these things that are being presented. Maybe it was just, again, the way that it was brought up. I was referencing with Andrew Mack that why didn't we hear about this sooner rather than just right here tonight at the commission meeting. So with that being said, I don't feel comfortable with this new, maybe just minor, but still I don't feel comfortable with these changes. So with that being said, I will not be voting in the affirmative with this new zoning proposition, and I wish we could have gone about this a little bit differently. Maybe my vote would have been different, but with that being said, that's where I stand.
I have one other question, and that is that it was said about the taxes, about, Boynton, Texas, that goes to the CRA. When does the CRA sunset?
32, I think. 30 or 32.
We have the CRA director here.
Makes sense.
Mike Simon, Interim Executive Director for the CRA. I believe it is 2032, but I'd like to verify that and get back to you on exactly when that is. There's some conflict with that in my mind.
Let us know at the next CRA meeting.
Very good.
But after 2032, if we're all alive, I'm just saying that money will go to the city of Boynton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The portion of that would.
Thank you. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no more comments from the commission, may I have a roll call, please?
We need a motion. You probably need two motions. One is to incorporate the amendments that were provided this evening.
What were the
revised exhibits. So just one motion to accept the revised exhibits, and then a motion to adopt the ordinance with those revisions.
Okay.
So motion to accept the revised edition with the amendments that was given to us.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And do you need a roll call as well?
No, not on that. Now you need a motion and a roll call on the adopting the ordinance.
Okay. Motion to approve the new zoning district of MU4.
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Romulus, Commissioner Casello,
Yes.
Mayor Grant,
No.
and Vice Mayor McCray.
Yes.
The vote is 3-2.
That's on ordinance 16023.
All right. We're going to take a 10-minute break. So everyone stretch their legs. We will reconvene at 9:43. All right, we're moving on to item 9A. Jim,
Okay.
would you like to make a talk about having all the ordinances read together, or would someone like to table items C and D?
table until January 17th.
C, D, and E.
Motion to table items C, D, and E until January the 17th.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to move forward with ordinances 17002 and 17001. 17001 is legislative, not quasi-judicial. But I would like to ask the applicant if the applicant has any problem making a presentation based upon on both of those together. And I don't know whether the mayor would permit some touching upon the ordinances that have been tabled, the items that have been tabled as well, because it may be impossible to unbundle all that.
Absolutely. We would like the full presentation, and if we have any questions, that they be answered on the 17th.
Sure, okay, and we don't have any, just for the record, objection to consolidating presentations to the extent that that's desired. That's at whatever point during this evening. Thanks.
All right, with respect to, let me read the two ordinances first, and then I'll explain a little bit more. Ordinance 17001, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Ordinance 8938 by amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan for a 9.78 plus or minus acre of property located generally southeast of the intersection of Woolbright Road and Federal Highway, is more specifically described herein, to change the land use designation from local retail commercial LRC to mixed use core MXC, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. And then if that ordinance passes, we would move to ordinance 17002, which builds upon that. An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending ordinance 02013 to rezone a 9.78 plus or minus acre parcel of land described herein and located generally at the southeast corner intersection of Federal Highway and Woolbright Road, more commonly referred to as the Riverwalk Plaza, from community commercial C3 to mixed use 4 MU4, providing for conflict severability and effective date. It's only that second ordinance that's quasi-judicial. Anybody who intends to speak or testify with respect to that ordinance, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. All right. Those are the two ordinances. The applicant can make their presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Michael Weiner. I'm also part of the Riverwalk team. We're here tonight, I guess, to talk about the unmentionable now.
Yes, you can mention it.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight concerning Riverwalk, located at the corner of Federal Highway and Woolbright Road in Boynton Beach, Florida. Plans were presented to the city on March 16, 2016, and they haven't appreciably changed, but of course there have been a lot of comments concerning those plans. The city, your staff, and all the residents have worked hard for many years to provide a vision for the city's redevelopment of its eastern area in general. There have been at least 8 public meetings concerning this particular property and the MU zoning. In particular, your Planning and Development Board conducted a thorough and in-depth review just last week on December 27th of this particular project. So now we have this meeting, and of course there'll be the meeting of January 17, 2017, and that will conclude the hearings. The applicant has attended each meeting and was glad to engage in the process. The process highlighted a number of issues that made for a better project. Land use and zoning changes, as we're well aware of after tonight, are filled with technical requirements. And of course, that was true of this project. And again, the role got reversed tonight, but you've already dealt with many of those technicalities. So I'd like to talk about the particular project, and that's what my presentation is about. So you've got 5 different votes. Quick outline. You've got a land use, you've got a zoning ordinance, you've got a height adjustment, you've got a community design appeal, and then there's a site plan modification. And as we've already discussed, some of these are going to be tabled. 2 of them you're considering tonight. Your planning and development staff prepared numerous reports and spent countless hours reviewing these matters. Those height adjustments, that's as a result of your staff's review of the site plan submission. They've reached a conclusion, your staff has reached a conclusion, that your comprehensive plan and codes have been met on all counts. That's a substantial competent evidence. It's part of the record. That in and of itself means that we have met the requirements for the second part of your ordinance. This presentation will assist you in your decision in that it shows how the project, and a project of this nature, leads to neighborhood stabilization and a contribution to the city's general welfare. I believe you're all aware of the physical layout of the project. Let me see if I got this going. Okay. The grocery store would be demolished along with other outdated buildings. The drugstore and other uses would remain along with the newly positioned retail opportunities. The residential structure would be placed in the southeast corner. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. And it's more than 200 feet from the residential units, which are to the north, and more than 300 feet from the homes, which are across in the other jurisdiction of Ocean Ridge. By the way, the common area for that public vistas along the Intracoastal, which you see up there on the right-hand side, it's almost a third of an acre, more than 2% of the property. All right. There'd be 778 parking spaces provided, with means for even more if it was necessary. There's 328 residential units which will be available, giving a density of approximately 33 units per acre, which is in line with Ventanas, actually a little less than Ventanas. You will increase pervious space by almost 80% of what's there now. In other words, you're going to be removing blacktop and allowing for more landscaping. You will reduce traffic, except for some minor amounts of AM trips, and I'll explain that a little later. You will be allowing for the planting of 252 trees and more than 11,000 shrubs. And as I mentioned, your Intracoastal will now have a public use. While it may only be for evening walks or possibly local art shows, it's certainly an upgrade over a local truck delivery. Part of the site plan approval is for art zones within this and other areas on the project. Regardless, we understand that change is always unsettling. That's what you've seen expressed in the first few hours that you've gotten testimony. So let me deal generally with two features that people find so upsetting. First, let me discuss height. Height is one of the tools that land planners can use to create sustainable projects. While the reaction to height can vary, the greater good of the city as a whole is well served by the placing of higher buildings at focal points or nodes. That's what nodes are. Nodes are focal points, a place to arrive. This is why it was originally suggested by your CRA and why you and your CRA advisory board met so many times and finally approved this general proposition, which you just previously voted on favorably. This particular site should be a node. First, as noted, the intercoastal views are best preserved for the public by placing the building mass in one location, that is, back in that south corner. And second, upper floors give ocean views. The ocean views are quite important because it establishes the residential project as an upscale destination with an exciting opportunity for its residents and their guests. A lot has been said about, the imperative of profit or other motives that may be driving this project, but the applicant and the Rickman family should not be misunderstood. As a family-owned development company, its philosophy is to own and hold assets. The company takes a generational view of real estate. The profit is after a lifetime of good management of an appreciating asset. Here, the private and civic goals meet. A building which is ordinary is unlikely to stand the test of time. An extraordinary building, that's worth owning, and that's worth owning for decades. The additional bonus is that this is the best manner for increasing the tax base and bringing those with discretionary income to this area. Certainly, there might be other plans that increase the density. We could have more. As you know, the Rickmans are only proposing 50% of the allowable density. And those increased density plans, they might increase cash flow. However, there is no other plan that delivers a sustainable asset that will be of great value to both the owner and the community for decades to come. This is the heart of the adopted CRA plan and the reason why it has been moving forward with the successful votes. Sacrificing a floor or two won't do anything except make another average garden apartment. Additional height coexists well with residential development. Boca Raton has recently approved a 12-story residential structure. Likewise, there's older buildings in Delray Beach, Florida, side by side with single-family neighborhoods for decades. Let me show you some things. This is the cityscape, which is almost completed in Boca. Very nice homes. You can see the larger buildings in the back. No difficulties with single-family homes and mixed use with height. Now, let me go back here for a moment. There we go. This is the Mark, also in Boca Raton. It's going up as we presently speak. Homes in the area, over on El Camino. Again, no difficulties. Now, let's go to Delray Beach for a moment. This is Lowry. Take a look at the picture. You can see all the single-family homes around it. Lowry was built in the 70s and 80s. Those homes have been there for years, forever, decades. No difficulties. That's one of the homes. Now, some people talk about low-rise apartments. Let's take a look at that quickly. Low-rise apartments are not necessarily going to get you a solution to blight. Lake Worth approved a number of garden apartments. Here's the Portofino. You're looking down at the Portofino. It's the red roofs. You can see the shopping center. No mixed use there, okay? It's a nice enough project. You know, they put in the amenities, but it's all gated in, it's walled. But it failed to spur any substantial renovation. Here are the pictures of the homes around it. They're all right. But no substantial renovation like it did with the other projects in downtown Boca Raton, or for that matter, what's in Delray Beach. Riverwalk is the opposite of these garden apartments. It invites the public in. It provides a mixed-use opportunity. And as I stated, it gives an architectural flourish to the community. Now, I don't know. There was a lot of discussion tonight about mixed use, and supposedly it failed. And I suppose maybe Boynton Beach shouldn't try to be like St. Armand's Circle in Sarasota, or Winter Park, or Howard Street in Tampa, or Coconut Grove, or Coral Gables, or Wilton Manors, or for that matter, Delray Beach around the corner. All mixed-use places that succeeded not in the center of a city. Maybe we shouldn't try for that. But I've shown you, and I've shown you photographs of how it is that mixed-use projects coexist with residential houses and can lead to the end of blight. One of the items that has been thoroughly considered at all public meetings is the word compatibility. Notice that word for a moment. It's not sameness. It's not identical. We don't have to be identical. It's not even uniform. In fact, what's in the word compatibility? By its very definition, it's comparing something different with another thing that's different. They have to be compatible. What we have shown you here is that even after installation, after coexistence for decades and decades, a building of this height is compatible even with single-family neighborhoods. Now remember, we're not even next to the single-family neighborhood, okay? That's in another jurisdiction over the intracoastal. We have other kinds of multifamily around us. They are on the other side of a roadway. So compatibility is proven by the facts, not by speculation. Now, there's another concern. There's a concern about traffic. And one of the things you have to realize is that the size of the building is no relationship to traffic. The building that houses the Goodyear blimp, it has less traffic than the corner gasoline station. So it isn't the size of the building that matters. This project actually decreases traffic. Now, I hope you can see that table. I wasn't sure how good your lighting was, but I think you can see it.
Can you read the numbers?
Yeah, I will read the numbers for you.
I can't see that.
A family, when you're talking about residences, a family leaves their residence in the morning and then they return, at night, and maybe there's a few errands. Think about a grocery store. Think about a parking lot of a grocery store. It sees customers every moment. The grocery store at this location was a huge traffic generator. As a result, remember, the size of the building doesn't make any difference. It's its use. As a result, this plan actually decreases traffic by almost 500 trips a day. I think it's 453 is up there. And traffic engineers are good. They know about the 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. situations, and that's when the most traffic is on the road. As to the 5 p.m. trips, we're still less. We're not more. We're less. Now, it's true, morning trips increase by about 115, which on a roadway this size is almost infinitesimal, but it's a small increase. Remember, the grocery store drew from the barrier island as it did from the west. But the people leaving Riverwalk residents in the morning are going to work. And that means that they're using I-95, they're going north and they're going south. But they aren't going over to the barrier islands. They have 2 major roadways to leave on. They have 3 exits to leave out of. They are not going across the bridge to clog the bridge. That's not what's happening here. And while Ocean Ridge is not part of your jurisdiction, there was thought to this. And the simple fact of the matter is the bridge is not clogged. At best you can say is there's an infinitesimal increase in the morning, and there's decreases at all other times. That's it. And we're not the only ones saying it. This has been reviewed by the county, and they found it meets all tests. We have a traffic concurrency letter. Copy is up there. So with traffic, there is no substantial impact of any nature. And it's been reviewed by our traffic engineers, your staff, and the county, 3 separate groups of experts. And they say it isn't a difficulty. Now let's talk about the city as a whole. I think that's a conversation that unfortunately hasn't really been highlighted enough, but let's take a look at this. And after this we have, I've got a few slides, but we do have an animation for you. I'll let it run as I make my closing remarks. The design will be innovative but classic, with views and balconies that will keep each residential unit valuable and desirable for decades to come. The common areas and walkways will reflect the mixed-use nature of the project and be inviting, accessible, and safe, things that were mentioned, so as to create a sense of community. Some of the public areas, more of the public areas. And the view from the major thoroughfares will give a sense of arrival, enhancing the other major corners. But you can even expect more. And if you can put now load one of the animations, if that's possible for us, since I'm at the end of that program. You can expect more. You can expect great residential alternatives to be available to the hospital staff at Bethesda, which is only 1.2 miles away in a 5-minute commute. A statement about no jobs? That's one of your biggest employers. 5 minutes away? You can expect additional construction jobs and additional permanent jobs. You can expect an increase in real estate tax valuation of almost 800%. Shopping centers valued at around $10 million now. Construction costs alone will be close to $100 million. I don't care who's getting that money, whether it be the CRA, the city, or the city at a later point. The undeniable fact is there will be a substantial contribution. All of these good things will happen while remaining traffic neutral. More than a decade ago, your CRA started examining an approach to your eastern areas that was exciting and inventive. My client, as the owner of this property, enjoyed and appreciated their viewpoint. He owns the property, and he strived to bring you a project that matched the vision. Your city staff has indicated through more than 50 pages of reports that it does match the vision, that it is code compliant, that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. So, facts, actual places demonstrate that this approach is compatible. Your staff says that we have met all requirements. I think there may be a second one. And so, under the situation, we have met all standards and requirements, both legislatively and with respect to substantial competent evidence. Well, while the second one's going, let me just mention a couple of things. From what I understand, you could have 25,000 more residents in the city of Boynton Beach before you needed additional police. The construction on this particular building, it allows for fire connections at every floor. You don't need new equipment. With respect to the setbacks, this was you submitted in March of 2016. We actually have to come to you asking to put the buildings back because the requirements were to put it closer to the streets. Our setbacks were looked at and considered. As far as the back setback is concerned along the intercoastal, it varies from approximately 15 to 50 feet. So we don't want, never looked for, any kind of zero setback. And I know that they've been examined again and again and again. So this is not a situation of this project. And now, as I've said to you, there's been a lot of discussions about whether or not this is the right plan. I don't know. As I mentioned, that list of successful places that have in fact done mixed use, not at a city core, not Los Olas, but great places to live with substantial values. I don't think that the planning of this city has been wrong for almost 2 years. I don't think that all the other meetings at which there were public votes were wrong. And I don't think after this presentation tonight that you can disagree that all the requirements are met and that you may move forward with these ordinances. Thank you very much for your presentation. We have other people who can speak if you should need more from us, and we're here to answer all questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, this is first reading. We don't have to open it up to public comment. Is that correct?
You do not.
But if someone wants to testify?
My recommendation would be that on the second ordinance that we're going to do, that's quasi-judicial, they should be permitted to speak.
Okay. So I would Commission, would you like to go first? Do you want to open it up for public? Do you have any comments? So I'd like to open it up to the public in case they have any questions. The point of these questions is that you can get them answered at next City Commissioners meeting. This is not the time to make statements of what your opinion of the project is. This is more or less asking questions what you would like. I'd like to also limit it to 3 minutes.
I'd also like to recommend, Mr. Wary, like you did at the P&D meeting, you might want to take some notes, some of the questions that, there you go, thank you.
Tim, you got the timer?
3 minutes. A guidance, the mayor will probably allow you to go over, but...
No, this is just questions, so
okay.
3 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't raise my hand before and swear anything because I didn't think I was going to speak. Do I need to do that now?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
As far as my questions go, yes.
Okay.
Yes. My first question is, you're showing a lot of palm trees. Palm trees do not provide shade. They are inefficient converters of carbon dioxide to oxygen, and there's a massive palm tree disease going around killing every palm tree you see up and down every single city. I hope you guys were just doing that for the effect, and you're going to consider actual shade trees versus the palm trees, and if so, maybe we should be seeing what kind of trees are going to be coming in. My second thing is, have you considered doing rooftop gardens? If you go, my brother lives in City Palms next to City Place, and all those towers over in that area, every single one has rooftop gardens, and I don't see that in any of the planning, and I think it looks like it has the potential to have a lot of that, so why are we not? Maybe we should look at doing that. Next is, are Walgreens and Joann's and Wendy's, are they actually remodeling? Are they refacing? What's going on? I mean, the video is beautiful. I would love to see my Walgreens look like that, but, you know, are they on board with this to make these changes? Okay, you're shaking your head yes, so yay. That's encouraging. And what's the status on the fire access in the back corner? I had heard something about there was a problem with fire truck access, and you were putting collapsible plantings in to run them over in case you need access to a back corner, because you had access to every part of it but just one corner. Did I misunderstand something from someone else, or is that true? Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
I'm just swear too.
Saw you. Didn't you raise your hand?
Yes, I did.
I thought so.
Mike Fitzpatrick, 175 Southwest 2nd Street, Boynton Beach. I believe last February when I was on the commission, I had a meeting with the owners at Bonds and Smolder, and I was somewhat in favor of the project if the 3 acres to the south behind McDonald's, which is primarily upland mangrove, were included because, as many of you know, I've always been concerned about the land development regulations that used to require before Mayor Broning 6 acres per 1,000 new residents, and coincidentally, that 3 acres would equal about the proposed amount of new residents. So it seemed like a good swap to me, and I was, going to look favorably at the project. So my question is, what's the status of those 3 acres? Is that going to be included? I think that was 3 minutes for the previous speaker. So that's my main question is what's happening with those 3 acres? There was some discussion about putting a walkway between there and Seagate, which would have like a card on it or something, so Seagate residents, anybody could walk, but only Seagate residents could actually enter the Seagate property. So did that fall by the wayside, or is that going to be part of it?
Are those your questions?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Brian Edwards, 629 Northeast 9th Avenue. I just want to congratulate the developers, and I think it's going to be an awesome project, and it's too bad it's not going to be 75 feet. And I think in relationship to what we just saw, I really mean that, and I think we're going to regret it, whether you're staff or whether you're on the commission. That thing, I lived in barracks that big in the Marine Corps in Okinawa in the 70s and the 80s. It looked just like it to me. So it's going to be real nice apartments for those folks. It's ugly, but another thing is, Commissioner, one last try for my District 2 Commissioner. I do want to get clarification. Is it still true that a positive vote can come back and reverse their decision?
Is
that true?
On the second reading?
On the second reading, or even after the second reading, Jim, for a development project?
I would have to say probably not.
Probably not?
Because they would be subjecting the city to lawsuits.
Yeah. That's what I was afraid
Respond?
of. Yeah. Okay, good response.
Under Robert's Rules of Procedure, anybody who votes in the affirmative can make a motion to reconsider. They then have to have the majority support of the commission on the motion to reconsider. They could thereafter, if that were to pass, when the vote comes back around, change their vote.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just end by this because I know this is a done deal, and I appreciate those that worked hard for the 75 feet. But I am concerned about the, the re-election of our district and the dollars for the people that stood up here tonight that put money into our District 2. And the comment about living here since the 40s that I've heard at least 1 million times, it feels like. It's time to quit blaming the rest of the people that, the heart of Boynton hasn't been developed to your satisfaction. For my District 2 Commissioner or Vice Mayor, the opportunity has been yours. You're the longest sitting Commissioner up there, sir. So thank you very much. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Let me clarify, because I didn't say I was born. I was here since the 40s. I was born in 1949. I've been here since 1953, for the record. Thank you.
Nancy Hogan, 37 Hibiscus Way, Ocean Ridge, if you needed that information. Could somebody tell me, I was told I could ask a question. I assumed I'd get an answer. What is the purpose of asking a question if you don't get an answer?
The next reading. This is
We'll
the
get
first.
answers at the next reading.
Correct.
Okay, I missed that part. Thank you, Mayor. Just two things that I'm asking questions, but you got two lovely videos. And the intercoastal, we got a huge boat in an intercoastal that's looks like it's a mile wide. Well, if you go over there, and I'm sure you all have, especially if you own the property, it's one of the narrowest areas in the intercoastal, the narrowest. We have incredible problems on our seawalls because of that. And secondly, my question would be, and probably staff would be the one to ask, but you can take it where it needs to go to get an answer. How did people come in here tonight? And some of them are very, very bright. I know them. With 0 setback lines, and you're talking about 15 to 50 foot. That's my question. I look forward to that, the second reading.
Okay.
Thank you.
Herb Sauce, I ask a question. Has developers or anybody on the commission checked with the federal agencies, the Coast Guard, as far as that narrow area, as far as docking boats? Did anybody go and ask the Coast Guard or the federal people about the waterway there, the egress, I'd like to know that.
So the city changed their comprehensive plan that got approved by the Department of Economic Opportunity regarding our consolidated CRA plan. So we have not talked to any federal agencies, but we did talk to the state of Florida.
Yeah, but the state of Florida is the state of Florida. I'm asking, has any of the federal agencies have input on this, and do you need permission from them? That's the question. Okay? As far as what you're doing.
All right, and hopefully the developer will answer that. All right, seeing no more comments. Commissioner Romulus, would you like to begin? Because you just went last time. All right, my comments are, I got a few questions. Is it going to be dog friendly? Is there going to be plastic bags dispensed for people that have dogs, or is this development not going to allow dogs? I believe there is a bus stop currently on that location. Can we make sure that that is enhanced bus stop so that there is enough seating for everyone that would like to be there? But not enough seating, and the new seats that don't allow people to sleep on. The issue of parking, I know with the Marina Village they're charging for parking. Do you plan on charging for any of the public spacing parking? The traffic, I saw that there's two numbers. The December 15th actually says that they would reduce daily trips by 213 while generating 118 more AM peak trips. Just if someone can clarify the difference between the first traffic study to the one that I see on today's plan. Next would be, is there an Uber stop or a Lyft or cabs available for the hotel lobby? Is there going to be a 10-15 minute parking available for people picking up or meeting friends and not to be abused? Recycling for commercial. Do you plan on having those enclosures available so that commercial can have recycling? I know that residential is required to have recycling. Next would be the dock. Does the developer plan on having a dock available, maybe for a water taxi, maybe for the public that would want to come to the restaurants? It is something that I don't know if it's required now currently with the site plan, or if it's a minor site plan modification, or it is a major site plan modification. If I could get that answer. And the last is along the trees along the intracoastal. There are currently trees that have been on the property for a long time. I would request that you do whatever you can to save those trees. And then the picture from the residential to cityscape, I just want to know how exactly far that away was when those two actual pictures were taken. I've been walking around the neighborhood for a while, and I can see the tops of 500 Ocean and Costa Costa Marina Village. However, when you have tall trees in the surrounding areas, it definitely limits
the ability of seeing the building. I feel that this is a development in the city of Boynton Beach, and the city does need more development. Going forward, I am very wary of the traffic situation, and so, like I made comments before about the Uber, Lyft, taxis, and bus stop. I saw the plans. You have ample motorcycle parking, ample bike racks, so I appreciate those. And just to see whatever you can do to help alleviate the traffic. If you need my help to speak with the county to see about maybe possibly getting a left turn lane out of the west exit, because it is all traffic has to go through Woolbright except for the people going over the bridge. And so that is definitely going to make the situation worse once Brightline and a possible Coastal Tri-Link comes through. And those are my questions.
I just got a couple. The maintenance of the seawall, who's going to be responsible for that? And security, as far as the daily security of the lot and the building itself.
Vice Mayor McCray?
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Katz?
Just one, because a lot of them have been hit on. Just information regarding the access to the easement boardwalk behind and hours and security regarding that, that waterfront property, just to know what'll be coming and going at what times.
And then I just thought one more. Does the developer plan on having any events scheduled that they will sponsor? Because they were talking about art events there, and so I would want to know if the developer plans on scheduling them their own. Do they want to go through the Art Commission, go through the CRA? What we can do to help promote the development? I think that's it. Well, hurry up. You have to come down.
I think at one of the CRA meetings there was talk about possible food store locating in the Joann's building. Is that a possibility or under consideration? One of my concerns is the crowding in those parking lot across the street. So another possibility you might consider, or have you considered, is having a lorry or some kind of a transport for residents to shop. I'm sure they could walk to a lot of the other amenities in that shopping center, but shopping would require a little bit more carry.
Sorry, sir, can I get your name again?
Richard Tofano, 205A North High Point Boulevard, Boynton Beach, Florida.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no more comments, no more anything from the commission, we will have a motion to approve items 9A and 9B.
I need a separate motion on each one.
Okay.
So as a motion to adopt ordinance 17001 would be appropriate.
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call? All right.
Commissioner Ramos?
No.
Commissioner Casello?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
I'm going to say no, pending the answers to the questions.
Vice Mayor McCray?
Yes.
And Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
The vote is 3-2.
Proposed ordinance 17002.
May I have a motion?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Casello?
Yes.
Mayor Grant?
No.
Vice Mayor McCray?
Yes.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
And Commissioner Romulus? Vote is 3-2.
And I believe we have two more things left. Item 13B. If you guys would like to leave. Yeah. Come. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
So this is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending the Land Development Regulations, amending Chapter 3, Article 3, Section 2G to eliminate the minimum and maximum lot area standards for the infill planned unit Development Zoning District, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. This is a second reading, so I need to open it up to public comment. Seeing none? Oh, okay.
Slow. Nancy Hogan, 37 Hibiscus Way, Ocean Ridge. A little confused here because I thought I heard instructions to make sure we were speaking right the first time up, and Riverwalk would be later. So I had comments about Riverwalk, and I'll just start speaking, and then you can tell me whether...
The comments regarding Riverwalk can be at the next meeting on January 17th.
After you vote? Before your audit?
This is only the first reading of the ordinance, so
Yeah.
at the second reading, there will be public hearing and opportunity to ask questions or even make your comments at that time as well.
Okay, well,
So it's not final tonight.
I'll just leave with a comment that the instructions were not helpful to me in order to express what I wanted to at this event.
Okay, thank you. Michael, you want to come down and do a brief overview? And so I understand that the IP infill planned unit development zoning district is different than the residential, commercial, and industrial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so basically we're saying that any of those areas does not have a minimum or maximum lot area, therefore there is a better chance of development of that vacant area.
That's correct. Mike Rumpf, Planning Zoning Director.
Okay. My next question, are the standards going to be strictly construed, or, of what is currently there?
I don't believe there's any uncertainty in the current regulations for IPUD.
Okay.
And those are the only changes that are proposed to them as the minimum and maximum project area, not a lot area.
Okay. All right. May I have, seeing no more public comments, any more comments from the commission? Seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McCray,
Yes.
Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Commissioner Casella.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Thank you.
Last item of the evening, 13C.
This is ordinance 16025, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, establishing a moratorium on the processing, approval, or issuance of any new licenses, business tax receipts, development orders, certificates of use, or permits for group homes in the jurisdictional boundaries of the city, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing an effective date. This is listed as second reading, which ordinarily would be final, but we've advertised 2 public hearings on this ordinance. So after you open up and close this public hearing, there'll be a public hearing on the 17th. So there should be a motion to table after public hearing tonight.
Okay. Open for public hearing. Does anyone like to make a comment regarding the moratorium?
Nancy Hogan, 37 Hibiscus Way, Ocean Ridge. The group homes is the it's been a problem. Usually terminology, let me get my gears back together here. Are you saying group homes, or are you saying sober homes, or is that both?
Sober homes is a subunit of group homes.
I'm sorry?
We're not discriminating against anyone, so we are going for the business category of group homes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that it has been a serious problem. I think we have Mr. Hager, who's worked at the state level, and we found out real quick that there's ADA issues that blocked anything you do, and you can be sued and get in trouble. And Congresswoman Frankel is now getting going at the federal level, so there's at least a dialogue that's starting that maybe we can find some relief. So I would support this just to give it time, and you all can have input to solve this problem for the neighborhood. And tonight, matter of fact, we're talking about spatial things and so forth and so on. And as I mentioned, I own at Snug Harbor, which is 4 stories. And we have now, and I'll use the term, a sober home 2 doors down, which is higher than the 4-story at Snug Harbor, and it's 2 stories. Now, how that happened in the city of Boynton Beach, I have no idea. But it looks terrible, it blocks the sunset and so forth and so on. We just have to be very, very careful about all this development and have smart development. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no more additional comments.
Motion to table.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. For a future agenda, do you mind if we push back the library departmental presentation?
Yep.
You mind, or we can do that?
No, I agree.
Okay, so we'll put back those, because we're going to have a busy meeting on the 17th. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.